Revenge of Others began with a girl named Chen Mai talking to her twin brother, Won Seok, on the phone. From their interaction, it seemed that Chan Mai and Won Seok were very close to each other. But suddenly, someone came to Won Seok's room. Won Seok slowly put down his phone and stopped talking to his twin sister. Chen Mai was confused when she saw that. Not long after that, Won Seok fell from the window. He died instantly because of that. Soon after that incident took place, a boy who was wearing white shoes with red shoelaces was seen running down the stairs. Chen Mai was a talented 19-year-old high school student. She was a shooter for her high school team. She attended a high school in Busan. Meanwhile, her twin brother attended a high school in Seoul. That afternoon, Chen Mai joined a competition where she represented her high school. She managed to win the third place in that competition. With her skill, she could have won the first place, but she couldn't stop thinking about her brother during that competition. She was worried if something bad happened to Won Seok. A boy who was wearing white shoes with red shoelaces came to a bowling alley. That boy was a high school student called Ji Soo-hyun. He was working part-time at that bowling alley. He asked his superior if he could leave early that day. But his superior didn't allow him to do that because there were many visitors in that place and a worker was absent from their work. He said that Soo-hyun could leave if he could find someone to do his job. After Soo-hyun heard that, he contacted his friends and asked them if one of them could replace him at his workplace for that day. But not long after that, 3 men came to that place. They seemed very eager to help their friend Soo-hyun. Turned out, Soo-hyun wanted to leave early that day because he wanted to visit his mother at a nursing home. After he spent some time with his mother, he left that place and headed home. But on his way home, he suddenly had severe headache. He even fell off his motorcycle and lost his consciousness because of that. When Chen Mai returned home, she was greeted by 2 little girls. Turned out, she was living in an orphanage in Busan. Her twin brother, Won Seok, lived separately in Seoul because he was adopted by a rich married couple. The next day, Chen Mai came to Won Seok's high school in Seoul to check on her brother. She was worried about him because she couldn't contact him since their last call. When she arrived in Won Seok's high school, she asked a group of high school students if they knew a student named Won Seok. She was beyond shocked when those students told her that Won Seok died a few days ago. She couldn't believe that her twin brother had died. So she visited the funeral home where Won Seok's cremation was held. She saw Won Seok's adoptive parents there and asked them about Won Seok. But Won Seok's parents answered curtly and turned their back on her. At the police station, a detective named Sok Jung was watching a CCTV footage on the day when Won Seok died. Her coworker, Jong Guk, told her that the police had closed Won Seok's case 2 days ago, before she was transferred to that police station. Not long after that, Chen Mai came to that place. With eyes filled with tears, she asked the police officers there to reopen her brother's case because she believed that Won Seok was murdered. But Detective So Jung told her that they couldn't do that because the evidence showed that Won Seok had committed suicide. Chen Mai refused to believe that. She tried to convince the police officers there that her brother was not a person who would take his own life. At the hospital, Soo-hyun had a CT scan to find out of the reason why he suddenly had severe headache that made him fall off his motorcycle and faint. After that, the doctor asked him to return to the hospital with his legal guardian because he couldn't discuss about his health condition with him directly. In a rooftop of a building, Chen Mai was mourning the death of her brother. She still believed that Won Seok didn't commit suicide, but got murdered. The next day, she returned to Busan and said goodbye to her best friend. She told her that she would transfer to an elite school in Seoul, Yongtan High School, where his brother used to attend. Her best friend was mad when she heard that. She said that she couldn't leave just like that because their high school team needed her in the national competition. But Chen Mai said that she had decided to transfer to Yongtan High School. She wanted to chase after the truth and find the person who had murdered her brother. She didn't care she had to leave her old life as a talented shooter for her high school team behind. In another place, Soo-hyun was practicing boxing. His trainer was amazed by him when he watched him practicing. Even though Soo-hyun was a soft-hearted person, he seemed to be savage and merciless when it came to beating up his opponent in the boxing ring. He didn't stop beating up his opponent despite he already fell to the ground and surrendered. His trainer quickly stepped in and broke up their fight when he saw that. After that, Soo-hyun found out that someone sold his motorcycle on internet. Turned out, when he fell off his motorcycle and fainted on the street another day, someone stole his motorcycle. Soo-hyun planned to go to the place where the seller sold his motorcycle. He asked his trainer to lend him his motorcycle so he could go to that place. In that place, Chen Mai was talking to the man who stole Soo-hyun's motorcycle. She wanted to buy that motorcycle because she needed a motorcycle to go to school. By the time Soo-hyun arrived there, Chen Mai and that man had finished doing their transaction. Soo-hyun saw Chen Mai trying to leave that place with his motorcycle and mistook her as the person who stole his motorcycle. Chen Mai told him that she didn't steal his motorcycle. She then left that place and headed to her rented house. Soo-hyun chased her right away. Not long after that, the men who stole Soo-hyun's motorcycle came to Chan-mi's rented house and tried to steal a motorcycle that Chan-mi bought from them. But suddenly, Soo-hyun caught them and beat them up right away. Unfortunately, they attacked him back and smashed a pot of plant against his head. Soo-hyun had severe headache again because of that. Chan-mi watched them and began to understand about what was going on. She then helped Soo-hyun to clean his face. Chan-mi's first day at Yongtan High School finally arrived. That morning, she went to school by using the motorcycle that she bought another day. But on her way to school, she suddenly almost crashed into Soo-hyun. She tried her best to avoid him, but she ended up crashing into the trash can and falling off her motorcycle. Soo-hyun panicked when he saw that. He quickly got off his motorcycle and checked on Chan-mi. He noticed that her school uniform got dirty after she crashed into the trash can. So he helped her to clean her school uniform to repay her kindness. When Chan-mi was cleaning her school uniform, Soo-hyun got awkward because Chan-mi's shirt became see-through. He quickly turned his head and gave his school blazer to her. Turned out Soo-hyun was a popular student in his school. He had many admirers there. When Chan-mi arrived in school, 2 students couldn't stop staring at her. They were jealous of her because she wore Soo-hyun's school blazer. When Chan-mi arrived in a classroom, a student was also eyeing her. That student was called Ji-hyun, Soo-hyun's biggest admirer. Ji-hyun disliked Chan-mi when she realized that she wore Soo-hyun's school blazer. After that, Chan-mi met with Coach Oh Nam-soo, the shooting instructor of Yongtan High School. Coach Nam-soo welcomed her to their team and treated her nicely because he knew that Chan-mi was a great shooter. He also introduced her to the captain of their team, Seo De-yeon. Then the teacher took Chan-mi to the classroom and introduced her to the class. Turned out, Chan-mi was put in the same classroom as Soo-hyun and Jae-hyun. Meanwhile, some teachers and staff were waiting for a car that was approaching the Yongtan High School building. When a student named Jae-bum got out of that car, they greeted him right away. From how they treated Jae-bum and his mother, it seemed that Jae-bum was a son of a wealthy family. Jae-bum was a senior student who was supposed to graduate from high school and attend a university in the United States that year. But because of an incident, he had to be in coma for 6 months, which made him resit the year as a senior and had lost all of his memories. The teachers then asked Oh-sung, Jae-bum's friend who was also the class president, to help Jae-bum get his memories back. While Chan-mi was having a lunch with De-yeon at the school canteen, she asked De-yeon about her twin brother, Won-seok. De-yeon said that Chan-mi had to talk to a student named Hong Ah-jung if she wanted to know about what happened to Won-seok. She said that Ah-jung might know something about him since she was Won-seok's girlfriend. After Chan-mi heard that, she asked De-yeon to give her Ah-jung's phone number. When Chan-mi called the number that De-yeon gave her, she suddenly saw Soo-hyun walking past her and answering her call. She was confused when she saw that. She then decided to follow Soo-hyun secretly. Turned out, Soo-hyun went to the hospital to talk to the doctor. While Soo-hyun and his doctor were discussing about his health condition, Chan-mi listened to their conversation secretly. She was surprised when she found out that Soo-hyun was diagnosed with malignant brain tumor. The doctor told Soo-hyun that they couldn't perform surgery on him because it was too dangerous. He also said that Soo-hyun could only survive for 6 months to 1 year due to that brain tumor. After Soo-hyun left the hospital, he visited his favorite beach. He was thinking about his life that was going to end soon. Meanwhile, Chan-mi couldn't stop thinking about Soo-hyun's health condition. She was worried about him, especially to consider that Soo-hyun had been skipping classes for almost a week. After the class ended, Chan-mi went to the science lab that had been closed because of the incident that happened to her brother in that room. When she was looking around that place, she suddenly saw Soo-hyun there. She was surprised to find him in that place. She asked him why he was there and why he didn't attend classes for almost a week. Instead of answering him, Soo-hyun began to tell her about the incident that happened to Won-seok. He said that he saw Won-seok falling from the window, and he was the first person who reported it to the police. Then he took Chan-mi to the place where he found Won-seok fell from the window. He said that it was also the place where he fed the stray cats in that school. After Soo-hyun left, Chan-mi was sad for him again. She didn't understand why a kind-hearted person like Hoo-seon had to leave this world soon. At the school canteen, a student from a photography club was shaking when she saw a bully who had sexually assaulted her returning to school. De-yeon told Chan-mi that Jung-kyung, that bully, was supposed to be sent to prison for sexually assaulting someone. She was mad because the police decided to let him go because they didn't have any evidence. She was even mad at her school for not kicking him out of school because Jung-kyung's rich and influential parents managed to convince them that their son was not guilty. In the corner of the school canteen, there was a student with white hair who gave Jung-kyung the stink eye. It seemed that she was also holding a grudge against him. After Chan-mi heard what De-yeon told her, she began to hate Jung-kyung too. Later, when she was talking to De-yeon in her classroom, she accidentally heard Jung-kyung and his friends talking about her brother. Chiang Mai was angry when she heard that. She walked toward Jung Kyung and his friends and told them that they needed to respect the dead. Jung Kyung was annoyed by her and tried to hit her, but Ji-bom quickly stepped in and told Jung Kyung the same thing that Chiang Mai told him. Jung Kyung wasn't afraid of him and began to disrespect him too, but Oh Sung suddenly spoke up and warned Jung Kyung. Only after Jung Kyung got warned by him that he finally stopped harassing Jo-bum and Chiang Mai. Soo-hyun returned to the hospital to receive an update about his health condition. In his room, the doctor asked him if he found any change in his personality. He explained that people with brain tumor usually acted without their knowledge, so they could suddenly become a different person or act differently from how they used to act. Later, Soo-hyun met with Ah-jung and So-yeon, the girl with white hair. Apparently, Soo-hyun had Ah-jung's phone because Ah-jung asked him to keep it for her. She didn't want her manager to find out about her location. When she checked her phone, she received many text messages from Chiang Mai. In those text messages, Chiang Mai asked her to meet her to talk about Won-seok. Ah-jung was confused when she read those messages. She asked them about who Chiang Mai was because she hadn't attended school for days. Soo-hyun was also curious when he heard it. He wondered why Chiang Mai was so obsessed with Won-seok's death. In another place, Jo-bum asked Chiang Mai to give him her phone number. Soo-hyun, who was riding past them, saw them there. Then he came to Chiang Mai's rented house and asked her about her relationship with Won-seok. Chiang Mai lied to him by saying that she and Won-seok were only friends and she knew him from a competition. Suddenly, Soo-hyun had another headache. Chiang Mai was worried when she saw that. She tried to get help, but fortunately Soo-hyun managed to recover. The next day, during class, Soo-hyun had another headache. He felt immense pain in his head this time, so he left the classroom and went to the restroom. Chiang Mai was worried if something bad happened to Soo-hyun, so she left the classroom too and went to the restroom to check on him. When she arrived there, she saw blood coming from one of the stalls there. She got surprised and thought that it was Soo-hyun's blood. She quickly banged on the door and asked him to open the door, but suddenly Soo-hyun appeared behind her. Chiang Mai was surprised when she saw him there. She then became curious about the person inside the stall, so she asked Soo-hyun to help her to climb the door. Turned out the person inside that stall was Seon-ha, the student from the photography club who had been sexually assaulted by Jung Kyung. Chiang Mai and Soo-hyun were shocked when they found out that Seon had tried to commit suicide. After that, the police officers came to Yongtan High School. They interrogated Chiang Mai and Soo-hyun because they were the ones who found Seon-ha in the restroom. One of the police officers who interrogated them was Detective So-jung, the detective whom Chiang Mai asked to investigate her brother's case. At first, Detective So-jung was confused to see Chiang Mai in that school, but she soon realized that Chiang Mai was there to find the truth about what happened to her brother. She warned her that what she was chasing after might put her life in danger. Chiang Mai asked her not to tell anyone that she was Won-seok's sister. After that, she received a text message from Ah-jung. Ah-jung asked her to meet her in the rooftop of the bowling alley. Chiang Mai was glad that Ah-jung finally texted her back. She hoped that she could become closer to find out about what happened to her brother. But when she arrived at the meeting place, she didn't find Ah-jung there. There was only So-yeon, Ah-jung's friend, in that place. Chiang Mai was disappointed because of that. So-yeon told her that if she came to Ah-jung to find information about Won-seok, then she came to the wrong person. She said that the person who knew the most about Won-seok was So-mi, Won-seok's former schoolmate, but she could transfer to another school. Meanwhile, Soo-hyun received a call from the nursing home. The nursing home complained to him because he hadn't paid them for taking care of his mother there. Soo-hyun felt hopeless when he heard that. He didn't know how to pay for his mother's nursing home fees because he had spent all his money for his own medical treatment. Suddenly, So-yeon came to that place. Soo-hyun asked her if she knew how to make money fast. At a coffee shop, Chiang Mai met with So-mi. She asked her if she knew anything about Won-seok's death, but So-mi said that she was just happy that Won-seok finally died. Turned out she held a grudge against Won-seok because he was the one who made her transfer to another school. She began to tell her about how Won-seok and his gang bullied her back then. Chiang Mai was surprised when she heard that story. She didn't know that her brother could be that cruel. She began to think that Won-seok wasn't a good person like how she thought. She also apologized to So-mi for what her brother had done to her. In another place, So-yeon asked Soo-hyun to help her to kick Jung Kyung out of school. She said that she didn't like what Jung Kyung did to Seon-ha. Soo-hyun rejected her request right away. Even though he didn't like Jung Kyung, he thought that it was not his right to kick someone out of school. But So-yeon said that she would pay him if he did what she asked. Soo-hyun asked why she wanted to go that far for Seon-ha even though they were not even friends. So-yeon said that she had experienced what Seon-ha experienced. Back then, So-yeon was being tortured by a group of people at a karaoke bar. Fortunately, Soo-hyun came to that place and managed to save Soo-yeon from her tormentors by beating them up. Soo-yeon asked Soo-hyun to do the same thing that Jung-kyun so that Soo-hyun could smile again. She said that she would pay him this time even though he always refused to get paid. But Soo-hyun still refused to do what she asked him. The next day, Soo-hyun received a call from the nursing home again. He was surprised when he learned that his mother had been sent to the hospital and needed some money. Because of that, Soo-hyun finally returned to Soo-yeon and said that he would do what she asked him. In the night, in his apartment, Jung-kyun was busy printing some pictures. Suddenly, he heard his doorbell ringing. When he opened the door, that person suddenly punched him hard in the head. Jung-kyun fell to the ground and lost his consciousness because of that. When he woke up from his faint, he found himself being tied to a chair. His eyes and mouth were also covered with tape. Turned out the person who attacked him was Soo-hyun. In that place, Soo-hyun threatened Jung-kyun to leave his school. Jung-kyun immediately agreed and said that he would do everything that Soo-hyun asked him. After Soo-hyun heard that, he tried to leave that place. But suddenly he saw a picture on the floor. It was a picture of Seon-ah when she was being tortured and sexually assaulted by Jung-kyun. Jung-kyun printed that picture so that he could use it to threaten Seon-ah to leave the school. Soo-hyun was angry when he found out about that. Suddenly, another side of him took control. He kicked Jung-kyun hard in the chest until Jung-kyun fell to the ground. He continued to torture him by using a hammer to destroy his legs. He kept smashing his hammer against Jung-kyun and ignored him, who screamed and cried in pain. After a while, he finally stopped torturing him and left that apartment. While he was running down the street, he ran into Chan-mai. Chan-mai asked him about what he was doing there. Soo-hyun was afraid if Chan-mai found out about what he had done, but he finally managed to find a good alibi to tell her. The next day, Chan-mai visited a columbarium where Won-seok's urn was stored. While looking at Won-seok's urn, she wondered if Won-seok was really a bad person like how people told her. While she was heading out of that place, she suddenly saw Soo-hyun there and hid herself right away. After Soo-hyun left the building, Chan-mai came out of her hiding place and walked toward the urn that was visited by Soo-hyun there. But while she was looking at that urn, Soo-hyun suddenly returned to that place and approached her. Soo-hyun told her that it was his brother's urn and asked her why she was there. Chan-mai finally decided to tell him about everything. She said that Won-seok was her twin brother and she transferred to Yongtan High School to find the truth about what happened to him. She thought that his brother didn't commit suicide but got murdered. Soo-hyun appreciated Chan-mai for telling him about her secret, so in return he told her about his brother's death. He said that back then, his brother was being bullied and ostracized by his classmates. When he tried to go to the restroom, his bullies stalked him and tortured him instead. Soo-hyun's brother begged him to let him go because he really needed to urinate. Since his bullies didn't let him go, he finally wetted his pants. His bullies took out their phone and recorded him immediately. While laughing at him, they told him that they would share that video with everyone. Because of that, Soo-hyun's brother finally decided to take his own life. He was afraid if that video got viral and he ended up embarrassing himself. Soo-hyun's mother was shocked when she saw her son committing suicide. At Yongtan High School, the students there were happy when they saw Jung-kyun walking away from the school building with his parents. Turned out, Jung-kyun had decided to leave that school. The students there were happy and excited that a problematic bully like Jung-kyun finally left their school. But suddenly, a student said that Jung-kyun did that because someone broke into his apartment and attacked him last night. Other students who heard that thought that whoever attacked Jung-kyun had done the right thing. Not long after that, Chan-mai and Soo-hyun arrived at their school. They were surprised to see the situation in that place. While they were walking toward the school building, they walked past Jung-kyun and his parents. Chan-mai noticed that Jung-kyun got many wounds in his body, especially in his legs. Ji-hyun, who was still looking out of the window, saw Chan-mai and Soo-hyun arriving at the school together. She felt really mad and jealous because of that. During the psychable education class, Ji-hyun approached Chan-mai and asked her if she and Soo-hyun were dating. Chan-mai told her that it was not true. In front of them, Soo-hyun's team and Oh-sung's team were competing against each other. Ji-hyun and other girls cheered for Soo-hyun. Meanwhile, Chan-mai couldn't stop looking at Oh-sung. Chan-mai believed that Oh-sung knew about what happened to Won-seok, because Won-seok always helped him to solve his problems. Suddenly, when Soo-hyun tried to throw the ball down into the hoop, Oh-sung cheated in the game by pushing his body away. Because of that, Soo-hyun hit the wall and injured his head. He fell to the ground and fainted. Ji-hyun was angry when she saw that. In front of everyone, she called Oh-sung manipulative and wicked person who was willing to do anything to get what he wanted. Oh-sung was mad when he heard that. He tried to attack Ji-hyun, but other students there stopped him immediately. Afterward, Chan-mai asked Ji-bum, Oh-sung's best friend, to ask Oh-sung to meet her. She said that she wanted to ask something to him. Because of Ji-bum's help, Chan-mai finally managed to meet with Oh-sung. Chan Mei then began to tell Oh Sung about the reason why she wanted to meet him. She said that she wanted to know if he knew anything about Won Seok. Oh Sung was surprised when he heard that. Chan Mei explained that she knew that Won Seok used to help him to solve the problems between him and I'm Sony. Oh Sung seemed thinking a little bit when he heard that. He finally said that Won Seok was a good person who was always there to help him. After that, he left their meeting right away. Chan Mei was confused when she heard that. She didn't understand why some people said that Won Seok was a bad person but other people said that Won Seok was a good person. She then realized that Oh Sung left his phone on the table. She quickly grabbed that phone and chased Oh Sung to give it back to him. When she arrived in Oh Sung's house, she was surprised to see Ji Hyun there. She was getting more surprised when she found out that Ji Hyun and Oh Sung were siblings. After that, Ji Hyun came to her brother's room and berated him. She was mad at him because his recklessness made Chan Mi find out about their real relationship. At the park, So Hyun met with Seon-ha's father. Seon-ha's father gave some money to So Hyun as the reward for helping him to kick Jung Kyun out of the school. The next day, Oh Sung and Ji Hyun were having a breakfast together with their parents. Turned out, Oh Sung and Ji Hyun were only step-siblings. That was why Ji Hyun tried so hard to hide that fact from her schoolmates. Oh Sung's father was the chief of Yongtan Police Station. He was called Wang Du. Before the class began, Oh Sung came to see Chan Mi and asked her not to tell anyone that he and Ji Hyun were siblings. Chan Mi nodded and understood. She promised that she wouldn't tell anyone about what she knew about him. In another place, Detective So Jung and her co-worker began their investigation to find the person who had attacked Jung Kyun. They watched the CCTV footage near Jung Kyun's apartment and saw Chan Mi talking to someone there. They planned to talk to that girl because they thought that she might talk to the person who attacked Jung Kyun. At school, Chan Mi was hanging out with Jae Bom and other friends. They discussed about the attack that happened to Jung Kyun. They assumed that the person who attacked Jung Kyun was the same person who had killed Won Seok. Chan Mi then tried to remember about what happened during the night when Jung Kyun was attacked. She remembered that she ran into Soo Hyun that night and saw his shoes being covered in blood. After that, Chan Mi visited Soo Hyun's friend, a car mechanic, and asked him about Soo Hyun's address. That car mechanic said that Soo Hyun lived at a rooftop of a boxing stadium. Chan Mi then came to that place and looked for the shoes that were worn by Soo Hyun that night. When she entered a room there, she finally found those shoes. Those shoes were still covered in blood, just like how she saw them that night. Not long after that, Soo Hyun arrived in that place. But when he was about to open the door, he suddenly had another severe headache and even got a nosebleed. When Chan Mi saw that, she opened the door and left that place quietly. But when she was walking away, Soo Hyun saw her from the rooftop. He quickly went to his room and found out that Chan Mi had stolen the shoes that he wore in the night when he attacked Jung Kyun. When Chan Mi returned home, Detective So Jung and her co-worker came to that place. They asked her about the person whom she talked to in the night when Jung Kyun got attacked. Chan Mi told her that she was talking to Soo Hyun. Detective So Jung then asked if she noticed something suspicious about Soo Hyun that night. Chan Mi then remembered about the shoes that were covered in blood that Soo Hyun wore that night. Those shoes were inside her bag right now. After that, Detective So Jung and her co-worker came to the bowling alley to talk to Soo Hyun. In the car, they told Soo Hyun that Chan Mi told them that she was talking to him in the night when Jung Kyun got attacked. So they wanted to know about what Soo Hyun was doing near Jung Kyun's apartment that night. Soo Hyun said that he was going to a repair shop to take his motorcycle after driving in that area. While he was heading there, he ran into Chan Mi. After Detective So Jung and her co-worker heard that, they let Soo Hyun go. The next day, Chan Mi was waiting for Soo Hyun at the repair shop. When Soo Hyun came to that place, she asked him if Detective So Jung came to see him. Soo Hyun was mad at her because she stole the shoes and told Detective So Jung that she talked to him that night. He thought that Chan Mi had given his shoes to Detective So Jung. But turned out Chan Mi didn't give those shoes to her. When she sneaked into Soo Hyun's room that afternoon, she saw Soo Hyun getting a nosebleed and his blood dripping onto his shoes. She realized that Soo Hyun's shoes were covered in blood that night because he had a nosebleed and his blood dripped onto his shoes. Chan Mi then apologized to Soo Hyun for stealing his shoes and gave them back to him. The next day, Chan Mi found a mysterious letter in her locker. In that letter, the sender told Chan Mi to go to the auditorium after school, though she wanted to find out what she had been looking for all this time. Chan Mi wondered who sent that letter and what they knew about Won Seok's death. So she did what that person asked her. After school, she came to the auditorium by herself. When she arrived there, someone suddenly attacked her with a brick. Chan Mi fell to the ground and lost her consciousness because of that. Her attacker took her phone and checked it. When Chan Mi woke up from her faint, she found herself lying on the hospital bed and saw Jae Bom there. Turned out, Jae Bom was the one who saved her and took her to the hospital. Fortunately, Chan Mei only had a minor injury from that attack. She asked Jibum how he could find her in the auditorium. Jibum said that while he was sitting in the school area, he saw her walking toward the auditorium by herself. So he came to the auditorium too and found her already lying unconscious on the ground. At Yangtan High School, while Jae-hyun was walking down the hallway, she noticed that everybody was staring and laughing at her. Later, she found out that a sexy picture of her had gone viral. After she and her friends investigated it, they found out that Dae-yeon was the one who shared that picture with everyone. They then came to see Dae-yeon and confronted her about what she did. They asked her why she even bothered to edit that picture and share it with everyone. Dae-yeon said that it wasn't her who edited that picture. She said that she received it from Chan Mei. Suddenly, Chan Mei and Jibum arrived in that place. As soon as Ji-hyun saw her, she slapped her face in front of everyone. She was angry at her because she thought that she was trying to embarrass her. But when she tried to slap her face again, Soo-hyun suddenly stepped in and took Chan Mei with him. Chan Mei asked Soo-hyun to let her go so that she could return to Ji-hyun and explain to her that she didn't do it. But Soo-hyun said that it would only make the situation worse. He told her that she had no idea about what a cruel person like Ji-hyun could do to her. He also asked her to return to her old school and forget about her mission to find out about what happened to her brother. He was worried about Chan Mei's safety if she kept attending that school. After that, Chan Mei asked Dae-yeon if it was really her who had sent the edited sexy picture of Ji-hyun to her. She said that she didn't know anything since all data and her phone had been deleted. Dae-yeon then showed their conversation to her. After Chan Mei saw that, she realized that the person who attacked her in the auditorium had used her phone and sent that picture to Dae-yeon. After that, Chan Mei talked to Jibum and told him about everything. She said that the person who attacked her in the auditorium was trying to pit her and Ji-hyun against each other. Jibum was surprised when he heard that. He promised that he would help her to investigate it. With the privilege that he had, he easily managed to convince the school staff to let him check the CCTV footages in that place. He was trying to find the person who had attacked Chan Mei in the auditorium and now tried to pit Chan Mei and Ji-hyun against each other. While he was watching those CCTV footages, he saw a boy in hoodie entering the auditorium around the time when Chan Mei got attacked. After the class, Jae-hyun's friend Hee-jong told her that the students had found out that Jae-hyun and Oh-sung were siblings. Ji-hyun was angry when she heard that. She hated Chan Mei even more since she was the only Yangtan High School student who knew that she was Oh-sung's stepsister. After that, Ji-hyun met with Oh-sung at the rooftop to discuss about that problem. Oh-sung told her to take care of Chan Mei so that she would stop becoming a problem for them. In another place, Chan Mei was busy practicing shooting. Not long after that, Jibum came to that place. Chan Mei asked him if he had checked the CCTV footage and found the person who attacked her in the auditorium and defamed her. But Jibum told her that he didn't see anyone in the CCTV footage. It wasn't revealed yet why he lied to Chan Mei and hid from her that he actually saw a boy in a hoodie entering the auditorium that afternoon. After school, Oh-sung visited his father at the police station. He came there to ask his father to make Chan Mei return to her old high school. He said that his stepsister Ji-hyun and Chan Mei fought a lot at school. He knew that his father could do it easily since he was the chief of Yangtan Police Station. He also added that Chan Mei lived in a legal place since that place was only for college students. After Oh-sung's father heard that, he finally agreed to help him to get rid of Chan Mei. At school, Chan Mei received a text message from Ji-hyun. In that message, Jae-hyun asked her to meet her at a parking space near Soo-hyun's house. When Chan Mei arrived in that place, she saw Ji-hyun and some gangsters there. Turned out, Jae-hyun asked her to come to that place so that she could teach her a lesson. She hired those gangsters to attack her. Chan Mei couldn't do anything when those gangsters beat her up. When Soo-hyun returned home, he saw some gangsters beating up a girl down there. He was surprised when he realized that it was Chan Mei whom those gangsters attacked. He then rushed to the parking space to save Chan Mei. But when he arrived there, those gangsters had already left that place. There was only Chan Mei with wounds and bruises all over her face. As if that beating wasn't enough, when Chan Mei returned home, she saw many edited sexy pictures of her on the wall. While Chan Mei was removing those pictures, the landlord suddenly came to that place. He told her to leave her rented house because the police saw him that morning and told him not to rent a house to high school students. Not long after that, Soo-hyun came to that place. He offered Chan Mei to live with him in his house at the rooftop of the boxing stadium. He knew that it wasn't a perfect place to live, but at least Chan Mei had a place for her to stay. Chan Mei finally accepted his offer because she couldn't think of any better option. After that, Soo-hyun took Chan Mei to his house. They also went to the convenience store and spent some time together. At the park, Oh-sung was looking at the pictures of Chan Mei and Won Seok on his phone. He finally found out that Chan Mei and Won Seok were siblings. Apparently, Oh-sung was the one who attacked Chan Mei in the auditorium and pit her against Ji-hyun. That was why Jae-bum refused to tell Chan-mi what he saw in the CCTV footage. He couldn't tell Chan-mi about Oh-sung because Oh-sung was his best friend. After Chan-mi left her rented house, she now lived with Soo-hyun in his house. To thank him for helping her, she prepared breakfast for him every morning. When Chan-mi arrived in school, she found another letter in her locker. In that letter, the sender asked her to go to the auditorium at 5 p.m. and see something there. Chan-mi sneered at that letter. She would be too dumb to do what that person asked her again after the incident that happened to her in the auditorium. Suddenly, she saw Ji-hyun in that place. She approached her and told her that she wouldn't leave that school even though she kept torturing and bullying her. Ji-hyun was mad when she heard that. While she was walking to her classroom, she ran into So-yeon, who soon mocked her and Oh-sung for being siblings. So-yeon also approached Ji-hyun and teased her if she was Oh-sung's stepsister since she and Oh-sung had different surnames. Ji-hyun was annoyed by her. She was thinking about teaching her a lesson for mocking her. After that, Oh-sung met with Jung-kyung and his friends behind the school building. Jung-kyung was mad at Oh-sung because he was still unable to find the person who attacked him that night. Jung-kyung's friends tried to attack Oh-sung for messing with them, but Jung-kyung stopped them right away. He told them not to touch Oh-sung because they weren't allowed to touch him. After that, Jung-kyung and his friends went to the gym and played basketball there. Turned out, Jae-bum was sleeping in that place. He woke up when he heard the noise that they made. So he approached them and asked them to be quiet. Jung-kyung and his friends were annoyed by him. Jung-kyung's friends beat him up right away and Jung-kyung didn't stop them this time, unlike how he stopped them from attacking Oh-sung. Suddenly, Soo-hyun came to that place. He asked them to leave Jae-bum alone, but they attacked him instead. Soo-hyun attacked them back and managed to defeat them easily. Chan-mi received the same letter in her locker. She became curious because of that and finally decided to go to the auditorium. In the auditorium, a seminar was being held. Chan-mi attended that seminar and sat with many other people in the seats. While they were watching a video that was played by the speaker, suddenly the video changed into a footage of Won-seok being thrown out of the window by a mysterious person. The audience was shocked when they saw that. After watching that footage, Chan-mi cried alone in a room. She became even more convinced that Won-seok didn't commit suicide, but got murdered. At the police station, Detective So-jung watched that footage that had gone viral on internet. She regretted that she didn't believe in Chan-mi sooner. After that, the police chief called her to his room. He asked her to lead the investigation for that case and find the murderer soon. When Chan-mi returned home, Soo-hyun approached her and tried to cheer her up. But Chan-mi said that she needed some time to be alone. At the park, Jae-bum met with Oh-sung. Jae-bum said that he knew what he had been doing to Chan-mi and asked him to stop harassing her. At first, Oh-sung pretended that he had no idea about what Jae-bum was talking about. But when Jae-bum showed him the CCTV footage of someone entering the auditorium around the time when Chan-mi was attacked, Oh-sung finally admitted that he was the one who attacked Chan-mi. He couldn't lie to him anymore because the CCTV footage showed him wearing the shoes that Jae-bum gave him. Jae-bum said that he would share that footage with everyone and stop befriending Oh-sung if he didn't stop harassing Chan-mi. After Oh-sung heard that, ultimately he finally agreed to do what he asked. But before Jae-bum left that place, he told him that Chan-mi was a problem and she transferred to their school because she wanted to find out what happened to her brother Won-seok. Jae-bum seemed hesitant when he heard that. It seemed that there was something between him and Won-seok. He was worried when he found out that Chan-mi was Won-seok's sister. When So-yeon got out of a convenience store, Ji-hyun and some gangsters suddenly approached her. They took her to a dark alley and beat her up there. As usual, Ji-hyun hired those gangsters to take revenge on anyone who was messing with her. The next day, Jae-bum saw a pair of shoes hanging on a tree. He realized that those shoes were the shoes that Oh-sung was wearing when he attacked Chan-mi in the auditorium. Not long after that, Oh-sung arrived and approached him. He was wearing the shoes that had exact same style and type with the shoes that were hanging on the tree. Jae-bum was surprised when he saw that, but he soon understood that Oh-sung did that to hide the fact that he was the person who entered the auditorium and attacked Chan-mi. Oh-sung was worried if Jae-bum shared that CCTV footage with everyone, so he prepared an alibi to save himself. When Chan-mi arrived in school, she received another letter in her locker. This time, that person asked her to come to the shooting practice room during the first class because they wanted to tell her about a secret. Chan-mi looked at her surrounding and became suspicious of everyone there. She didn't expect that finding the truth about what happened to her brother would be this hard. Meanwhile, Detective So-jung began to investigate Won-seok's case. She came to the auditorium of Yongtan High School to find the person who had recorded and played the footage of Won-seok being murdered. In the classroom, teacher Ja-tak asked the class not to talk about the tragedy that happened to Won-seok anymore. He tried to calm him down by saying that the police were doing their best to investigate this case. Then he told Chan-mi to go to the counseling room because Detective So-jung was waiting for her. But instead of going to the counseling room, Chiang Mai went to the shooting practice room because she was curious about what that person wanted to tell her there. When she was waiting there, Jae-bum suddenly came to that place. Chiang Mai was surprised to see him there. She asked if Jae-bum was the person who had been sending letters to her all this time. Before Jae-bum had the chance to answer her, a boy in hoodie suddenly walked in the hallway. Jae-bum and Chiang Mai chased that boy right away, but unfortunately they lost him. Jae-bum then told Chiang Mai that he came to the shooting practice room because he saw her entering that place alone. He was worried if she got attacked again like how she got attacked in the auditorium. So he followed her to make sure that she was safe. Chiang Mai doubted what he said to her, but she thanked him for worrying about her. After that, she went to the counseling room to meet Detective So-jung and her co-worker, who had been waiting for her. When she arrived there, Detective So-jung apologized to her for not believing in what she said about her brother's death. Then she told her to repeat what she said to her at the police station back then. She asked her about the details of what happened when she had a video call with Won Seok on the day he got murdered. She asked her if she found anything suspicious in Won Seok's facial expression that time. Chiang Mai said that she didn't find anything strange nor suspicious in her brother's facial expression. That day, Ah Jung finally returned to school. Ah Jung was the person whom Chiang Mai wanted to meet back then because she was rumored to be Won Seok's ex-girlfriend. Even though Ah Jung had skipped classes for a long time, the teacher there didn't want to bother or punish her. Turned out they treated her differently because she was in training to become an idol. After Ah Jung left the staff room, she met with her best friend So-yeon. But suddenly, she felt sick and wanted to vomit. She then went to the restroom and threw up there. In the counseling room, Detective So-jung and Jong-guk were interrogating Soo-hyun. They asked him about his relationship with Won Seok. Soo-hyun admitted that he was not very close to Won Seok, even though they were classmates. Jong-guk then asked if it was true that he got into a fight with Won Seok last year, and Soo-hyun answered that it was true. He said that Won Seok was the one who approached him first and asked him to get into a fight. Detective So-jung then asked him one last question that was never answered by other students there. That question was about the person whom Soo-hyun considered was very close to Won Seok. After thinking for a while, Soo-hyun finally said that that person would be Oh-sung. Detective So-jung and Jong-guk were looking at each other when they heard that. When Soo-hyun returned home, Chiang Mai greeted him and asked him to accompany her to go to Won Seok's parents' house. She said that she wanted to take Won Seok's belongings there. When they arrived there, Won Seok's parents gave a suitcase to Chiang Mai. They said that they couldn't open that suitcase since they didn't know the code to unlock it. They also said that they were glad that Won Seok didn't die because of committing suicide. Soo-hyun was angry when he heard that. He thought that what they said was very insensitive and cruel, as if they didn't feel bad at all for losing Won Seok. In the boxing stadium, Chiang Mai and Soo-hyun were trying to open Won Seok's case by entering a date that Chiang Mai thought was important for her and her brother. Turned out that date worked. Once the suitcase was opened, Chiang Mai saw all items that she gave to Won Seok inside. There were also the pictures of her and her brother there. The next day, Chiang Mai was waiting for Soo-hyun at the parking space where they usually park their motorcycles. When Soo-hyun arrived there, Chiang Mai asked him to tell Ah Jung to meet her. With Soo-hyun's help, Ah Jung was finally willing to talk to Chiang Mai. Chiang Mai asked her about Won Seok, but Ah Jung said that she barely knew anything about him. Ah Jung said that she only pretended to date Won Seok so that the boys in that school stopped bothering and chasing after her, especially when they found out that she was in training to become an idol. Chiang Mai then showed her a picture of clams that Won Seok sent her back then. She remembered that Won Seok said that he was having a lunch with his lover, but Ah Jung said that she never had any lunch with Won Seok. She only took a picture with him once at school and not at restaurant. She also added that she was allergic to clams, so it was impossible for her to eat any clams. Chiang Mai was surprised and confused when she heard that. She became more curious about what actually happened to her brother. After that, Ah Jung, So-yeon, and Soo-hyun had a lunch at a restaurant. So-yeon and Soo-hyun were surprised when Ah Jung ate a lot since they remembered that she didn't like that food. Ah Jung told them that maybe it was because she was pregnant. Soo-hyun got up from his chair when he heard that. He knew that Ah Jung was pulling his leg now. So-yeon also thought that Ah Jung was only joking, but she remembered that Ah Jung threw up at school this morning. So she asked Ah Jung and Soo-hyun to go to a quiet place and discuss whether Ah Jung was pregnant or not. When they arrived in that place, Ah Jung told So-yeon and Soo-hyun that she had been pregnant for 12 weeks. So-yeon and Soo-hyun were confused when they heard that. They didn't understand why Ah Jung wasn't worried at all to know that she was pregnant, especially to consider that she was still in high school and in training to become an idol. But Ah Jung said that she had decided to keep her baby. So-yeon asked who was the father of her unborn baby, but Ah Jung refused to answer that. She said that she wanted to keep that information secret. She then asked So Young to pretend to be her sister and accompany her to go see her obstetrician. Chen Mai visited a coffee shop that she saw in the picture that Won Seok sent to her. She showed Won Seok's picture to the barista there and asked her if she knew Won Seok. That barista admitted that she didn't know the person in that picture. But suddenly, another barista said that he knew the person in that picture. That barista was called Se-jin. Se-jin told Chen Mai that he used to attend Yongtan High School, but he left that school when he was in 11th grade. He also said that he was close to Won Seok. He remembered Won Seok as a very good person. Back then, when he was still attending Yongtan High School, he often got bullied by Jung Kyung and his gang. One day, when Jung Kyung and his gang harassed him, Won Seok suddenly came to that place and beat them up. After Won Seok defeated them in that fight, Jung Kyung and his gang stopped harassing Se-jin. Se-jin didn't understand why Won Seok helped him back then, but he assumed that it was because Won Seok knew how it felt to become an adoptive child. Meanwhile, Ah Jung and So Yeon were heading to an obstetrics and gynecology clinic. When it was Ah Jung's turn to see the obstetrician, a man suddenly came to that place and jumped the queue. In the doctor's room, that man threatened the doctor to stop bringing the lawsuit against his father. Dr. Jung Hyeon was shocked when she saw that man there. It seemed as she really despised. She even cried, screamed, and had panic attack because of that man's presence in that place. Because of that, the staff finally decided to close that clinic for that day. Ah Jung was disappointed because she hadn't seen the doctor. She was mad at the man who caused all this problem. She told So Yeon that that man was her former classmate in middle school. He was called Hyuk Jeon. She said that Hyuk Jeon was a murderer, and Dr. Jung Hyeon's daughter was his victim. But since South Korea didn't punish underage children, Hyuk Jeon wasn't sent to the prison and was still roaming free out there. So Yeon was bitter when she heard that. She was thinking of something to punish Hyuk Jeon. Jae-bum came to the boxing stadium and asked Soo-hyun to go to some place with him. Turned out, Jae-bum took him to the racetrack and go ride with him. He even taught him on how to ride a race car even though Soo-hyun didn't even know how to ride a regular car. After spending a day in that place, Jae-bum finally took Soo-hyun to his workplace at the bowling alley. It seemed that Jae-bum was trying to get close to Soo-hyun, but it wasn't revealed yet if he did that because he wanted to thank him for saving him from Jung Kyung and his gang, or it was because of something else. In the locker room, Soo-hyun approached Soo-hyun and asked him to take another revenge. This time, she asked him to take revenge on Hyuk Jeon, a man who caused problem in the obstetrics and gynecology clinic. She explained that Hyuk Jeon had murdered an innocent person, so he deserved to be punished. Before she talked to Soo-hyun, she had asked Dr. Jung Hyeon's permission to take revenge on Hyuk Jeon, and she agreed. Dr. Jung Hyeon promised that she would pay her anything if she could make Hyuk Jeon take responsibility for what he did to her daughter. After Soo-hyun heard that, he agreed to do what So-yeon asked him. He needed some money because his mother needed to have surgery. At home, after Jae-bum took a shower, he saw a book in his room. He noticed there was a book for his school's library. He was confused when he saw that. He remembered that that book wasn't there before he took a shower. He checked that book and found a picture of him and Won Seok there. But since he lost all his memories, he didn't know who was the person beside him in the picture. The next day, Jae-bum gave a basketball game VIP ticket to Soo-hyun. Soo-hyun was very happy to receive that ticket because he loved basketball. Not far from there, Oh-sung was watching them. It seemed that he didn't like to see Jae-bum spending his time with Soo-hyun. In the classroom, Jae-bum showed a picture of him and Won Seok to Oh-sung and asked him who was the person beside him in the picture. Oh-sung panicked when he saw that picture and hid it under his book right away. After school, Soo-hyun planned to watch a basketball game with Jae-bum. But suddenly, So-yeon came to see him and asked him to do the revenge that night. She said that she had been stalking Hyuk Jeon and she thought that that night was the perfect time for them to take revenge on him. Soo-hyun understood and canceled his plan with Jae-bum immediately. He then changed his clothes and went to Hyuk Jeon's father's car repair shop. When he arrived there, he saw Hyuk Jeon alone in that place. He approached Hyuk Jeon quietly and knocked him out. When he woke up from his faint, he found himself being tied to a chair. His eyes and mouth were also covered with tape. Soo-hyun threatened Hyuk Jeon to apologize to Dr. Jung Hyeon. Without thinking, Hyuk Jeon agreed to do everything that he asked him. After Soo-hyun heard that, he left that place and changed his clothes again. The next day, the police officers came to Hyuk Jeon's father's car repair shop. Surprisingly, Hyuk Jeon was found dead there. It wasn't revealed yet if Soo-hyun lost himself again that night and ended up killing Hyuk Jeon, or someone else had sneaked into that place and killed him. 3 hours before Hyuk Jeon was found dead, Chan Mai came to the usual parking space to park her motorcycle. When she arrived there, she saw Se-jin in that place. Turned out, Se-jin had been waiting for her because he wanted to say something important to her. He said that he knew that Chiang Mai was Won Suk's twin sister because Won Seok once told him and sent their picture to him. He also admitted that he was the one who had been sending letters to her and played the video of Won Seok being murdered during the seminar in the auditorium. Chiang Mai was surprised when she heard that. She asked him how he got that video, and Se-jin answered that he was the one who took that video. Se-jin said that he didn't report it to the police because he was too scared. He changed his phone instead and tried to forget about the incident that he saw. But he couldn't do that because he kept being haunted by his guilt. And after he met Chiang Mai, he began to have courage to show the world about the truth. He promised that he would help Chiang Mai to find Won Suk's murderer before he went to the United States. Chiang Mai asked him if he suspected anyone to be her brother's murderer, and Se-jin said that he had someone in his mind. Chiang Mai was surprised when Se-jin said that he was suspicious of Soo-hyun. At school, Soo-hyun told So-yeon that he had done his job. He believed that Hyuk-jeon would apologize to Dr. Jong Hyen and take responsibility for what he did soon. He still had no idea that Hyuk-jeon was found dead this morning. While he was heading to his classroom, he ran into Jo Bum, who greeted him warmly. Jo Bum asked him why he didn't watch the basketball game last night, and Soo-hyun said that he had an urgent situation. After that, they were walking to the classroom together. Oh-sung saw them from the school building and said to himself that it was Soo-hyun's turn this time. During the class, Chiang Mai couldn't stop thinking about what Se-jin told her earlier. She began to pay attention to Soo-hyun, especially to the shoes that he was wearing. She remembered that Se-jin said that not long after Won Seok got murdered, he saw a boy who wore white shoes with red shoelaces walking out of the school building. During the break time, Dae-yeon and other Yongtan High School students received a text message from a mysterious person. In that text message, that person revealed that Chiang Mai was Won Suk's twin sister. Ah-jung and So-yeon then understood why Chiang Mai insisted on talking to Ah-jung back then. After Jae-hyun found out that Chiang Mai was Won Suk's sister, she approached Chiang Mai and tried to provoke her. Ah-jung stepped in and told her to watch her mouth and respect Won Seok. But Jae-hyun pushed her body away and continued to harass Chiang Mai. Chiang Mai began to feel angry and lose her patience. She then attacked Jae-hyun and beat her up in the hallway. Because of that attack, Chiang Mai finally got suspended from school. When she was out in the school building, she saw Ah-jung and So-yeon waiting for her. After that, the three of them went to an ice cream store together. In that place, Ah-jung told Chiang Mai about everything she knew about Won Seok. She said that when Won Seok was in 10th grade, he was known as a student who would stand up for everyone who got bullied in school. But somehow, when he was in 11th grade, he began to become a bully himself. Ah-jung thought that it was because of the influence of Oh-sung. She said that one night she listened to Oh-sung and Won Suk's conversations secretly. Oh-sung asked Won Seok to help him to solve the problem between him and his ex-girlfriend Somi, who claimed that she was pregnant. At first, Won Seok refused to do that, but he finally gave in and said that he would help Oh-sung to talk to his ex-girlfriend. After Chiang Mai heard that, she came to see Se-jin and told him about the story that Ah-jung told her. Se-jin said that he had been suspecting Oh-sung for a long time because he noticed that Won Seok began to change since he became Oh-sung's friend. But it seemed that there was something that Se-jin was hiding from Chiang Mai. At the police station, Detective So-jung was tasked to investigate Hyuk-jeon's murder case. The police wondered if that case was related to Jung Kyun's attack, since the perpetrator used the same method that was used by Jung Kyun's attacker to torture Jung Kyun. After that, Detective So-jung and her coworker Jong Guk came to see Jung Kyun and interrogated him. They asked him if he remembered something about the person who attacked him that night. Jung Kyun then remembered about the smell of that person. He said that his attacker smelled like rubbing alcohol or something like that. He also said that his attacker punched him really hard that he lost his consciousness right away. He even compared his punch with a professional boxer's punch. After that, Jong Guk came to see Chiang Mai and asked her again about the time when she met Soo-hyun in the night when Jung Kyun got attacked. He told Chiang Mai that Jung Kyun's attack might be related to Won Suk's murder case. Chiang Mai was surprised when she heard that. She then remembered about what Se-jin told her again. She was getting even more suspicious of Soo-hyun when she realized that Soo-hyun might be the person who attacked Jung Kyun. Meanwhile, Detective So-jung came to see Soo-hyun and asked him about his boxing skills. She asked him if he could knock someone out with only one punch. Soo-hyun said that maybe he could, but claimed that he had never done it before. In the middle of the night, Jo Bum was sitting alone in a horse stable. He was confused when he realized that he was in a horse stable. The next morning, Oh-sung's father, Won-do, was mad when he found out that Jae-hyun had been attacked by Chiang Mai. He said that he would take this problem to the court. Even though Chiang Mai was being suspended from school, she still went to school that day to practice shooting. Suddenly, Oh-sung came to that place. He told her that his father was going to do something to her. But he promised that he would help her to stop his father from taking this problem to the court. Chiang Mai was confused when she heard that. She asked him why he wanted to help her. Oh Sung said that he wanted to do it because he owed Won Seok his life. But he didn't explain about what Won Seok had done to him. While Soo Hyun was walking down the street, Jung Kyung and his gang stopped him and asked him to go to a quiet place with them. It was clear that they wanted to beat him up there, but Soo Hyun still followed them anyway. When they beat him up in an alley, Soo Hyun didn't do anything to defend himself. He realized that the police were suspecting him right now. If he attacked them back, then the police would find out that he could knock someone out with his punch. So Hyun went to the obstetrics and gynecology clinic and told Dr. Jong Hyun that she had taken care of the man who murdered her daughter. But when she went to the restroom, she saw Detective So Jung there. Detective So Jung came to that place to inform Dr. Jong Hyun that Hyuk Jeon was found dead this morning. So Hyun was surprised when she found out about that. She left that place immediately and came to see Soo Hyun. At the police station, Detective So Jung and Jong Guk were watching the CCTV footage of someone leaving Hyuk Jeon's father's car repair shop in the night when Hyuk Jeon got murdered. Detective So Jung suddenly remembered about what Jung Kyung said about the smell of the person who attacked him. She believed it was not the smell of rubbing alcohol, but the smell of bowling ball cleaner that Soo Hyun got from working at the bowling alley. As soon as she realized that, she and her co-worker headed to the bowling alley where Soo Hyun was working at to see if she was right. Soo Hyun met with Soo Yeon at the rooftop of the bowling alley. He was beyond surprised when Soo Yeon told him that their recent target was found dead. He tried to convince her that he didn't kill Hyuk Jeon and all he did to him was only teaching him a lesson. But Soo Yeon said that it was too late for him to deny it. She said that they needed to find a solution soon so that the police wouldn't arrest him. Not long after that, Detective So Jung and Jong Guk arrived in that place. They asked Soo Hyun to open his locker because they believed that he kept all the evidence there. Soo Hyun looked worried when he was about to open his locker. But when he opened it, they found nothing inside it except his empty bag. Detective So Jung was disappointed when she saw that. She believed that Soo Hyun was hiding the evidence somewhere else. She then asked Jong Guk to keep an eye on Soo Hyun. Meanwhile, she was going to visit the boxing stadium. Soo Hyun then remembered that he kept something inside his bag in his locker at the boxing stadium. When Jong Guk was talking to someone on the phone, Soo Hyun used that moment to run away from that place and headed to the boxing stadium by using his motorcycle. He wanted to get rid of the evidence that he hid in his locker before Detective So Jung had the chance to find it. When Detective So Jung arrived in the boxing stadium, she rushed to Soo Hyun's locker and opened it by using a big stick. Not long after that, Soo Hyun also arrived in that place. He seemed nervous when Detective So Jung was about to open his locker. But when Detective So Jung opened it, she didn't find any evidence inside. Soo Hyun was surprised when he saw that. He wondered about who had taken his bag that contained all the evidence that he kept. Turned out, Chiang Mai was the one who did it. She came to the boxing stadium before Detective So Jung and Soo Hyun arrived in that place and took Soo Hyun's bag with her. She sent that bag to the orphanage in Busan where she used to live. Jae-bum took Oh-sung to the horse stable where he found himself waking up there another night. In that place, Ju-bum said that he got some of his memories back, so he wanted Oh-sung to tell him about the truth. He said that he knew he didn't lose his memories because of an accident, but because of what he did to himself. Then he asked Oh-sung if it was him who had murdered Won Seok. Oh-sung was surprised when he heard that. The next day, Chan Mei visited the orphanage in Busan where she used to live. She took Soo Hyun's bag with her and visited the harbor in the city. She remembered the night where she met Soo Hyun and the night when Jung Kyun got attacked. When Soo Hyun opened his locker, he found a letter there. Turned out that letter was from Chiang Mai. Chiang Mai told him to go to Busan if he wanted to get his bag back. As soon as Soo Hyun read that letter, he went to Busan to find Chiang Mai. He came to an abandoned building where Chiang Mai told him in her letter. When he was in that place, the lights suddenly turned on. Chiang Mai walked towards Soo Hyun and aimed her gun at him. Then the lights turned off again. Shortly after that, a gunshot was heard in that place. Chiang Mai shot Soo Hyun in the arm because she believed that Soo Hyun was the person who had murdered her brother. She made that assumption after Jong Guk told her that the person who murdered Won Seok was the same person who had taken revenge on Jung Kyung, Hyuk Jeon, and other people who deserved to be punished. She became even more convinced that Soo Hyun was Won Seok's murderer after she checked the evidence, which was a bag that Soo Hyun always wore when he was taking revenge on those people. Soo Hyun admitted that he was the person who attacked Jung Kyung and Hyuk Jeon, but he swore that he didn't murder Won Seok. But Chiang Mai refused to believe him and aimed her gun at him again. Soo Hyun then took out his own gun and aimed it at his head. During that tense situation, Chiang Mai's phone suddenly rang. Chiang Mai was surprised when she saw Won Seok's number calling her. She answered the call right away, but she didn't hear anything from another side. Then she called that number back, but that number was suddenly inactive. Chiang Mai was confused and frustrated with that. At the park, Jae-bum was waiting for Oh-sung, who was still busy playing basketball. He couldn't stop thinking about what Oh-sung said to him when they were talking about his past another night. He was also curious about the relationship that he and Won Seok had. That night, before leaving, Oh-sung told him that he was going to show him about something important related to his past and his relationship with Won Seok. Chen Mei and Soo-hyun finally decided to destroy all evidence of the attacks that Soo-hyun committed against Jung Kyung and Hee Jian. They burned the shoes and the bag that Soo-hyun wore in the nights when he attacked them. Chen Mei was still curious about the person who used Won Seok's number to call her, so she tried to call Won Seok's number again, but that number was still inactive. She then noticed the gunshot wound in Soo-hyun's arm. She felt guilty for shooting his arm without thinking. After that, she went to a convenience store and bought some medicine and a hoodie. She gave those medicine and hoodie to Soo-hyun. Then she treated Soo-hyun's wound in a photo booth. She seemed nervous when she was doing that. Even though Soo-hyun got the gunshot wound from her, it appeared that he had forgiven her. After Chen Mei finished treating his wound, Soo-hyun asked her to take some pictures together. He thought that it would be unfortunate for them to miss that rare moment. At the park, Oh-sung finally arrived and gave some pictures to Jae-bum. He said that those pictures were something important that he was going to show him. Turned out, those pictures were pictures of Jae-bum and Won Seok. In those pictures, it appeared that they were very close to each other. Jae-bum was getting more confused after he saw those pictures. He wondered about the relationship that he had with Won Seok. Chen Mei told Soo-hyun that she didn't hear anything when Won Seok's number called her earlier, but she noticed that there was another call that time. Fortunately, she managed to record that call. Soo-hyun was surprised when he heard that recording. They believed that they could use it as a clue to find out about what happened to Won Seok. The next morning when Chen Mei woke up at a laundry, she found out that Soo-hyun had left that place. She only found a note from Soo-hyun in which he told her to forget about the incident that happened last night and thanked her for everything. Soo-hyun arrived at the train station in Seoul. As soon as he stepped out of the train, he began to have blurry vision and severe headache. Not long after that, he fell to the ground and lost his consciousness. Detective So-jung came to the parking space where Soo-hyun and Chen Mei usually park their motorcycles to talk to Soo-hyun. Suddenly, Chen Mei arrived in that place. Detective So-jung asked her about Soo-hyun's whereabouts, but Chen Mei said that she didn't know where he was. During the class, Chen Mei didn't see Soo-hyun in the classroom. She began to worry about him. She tried to call him, but Soo-hyun didn't answer her call. She wondered where Soo-hyun might be. At the police station, Detective So-jung and Jong-guk were watching a CCTV footage in the night when they checked Soo-hyun's locker in the boxing stadium. In that CCTV footage, they saw Chen Mei walking near that area. Jong-guk said that he suspected Chen Mei as the person who took Soo-hyun's bag before they arrived in the boxing stadium. He remembered that he saw Chen Mei leaving the boxing stadium while he was heading to that place. Detective So-jung asked why would Chen Mei help Soo-hyun, the person who might murder her brother, to get rid of the evidence. At the rooftop, Jae-bum was thinking about the pictures of him and Won Seok that Oh-sung showed him last night. Then he tried to call Soo-hyun, but Soo-hyun didn't answer his call. Because of that, he went to Soo-hyun's house to check on him. When he arrived there, he saw Chen Mei in that place. He was curious about what she was doing there. So he followed her quietly and saw her entering Soo-hyun's house. At Jae-bum's house, Oh-sung and Jae-bum's mother were discussing about Jae-bum's health condition recently. Jae-bum's mother noticed that Jae-bum began to get his memories back. But she was worried about him because he often wandered around and ended up in places that he didn't remember visited, like that time when he ended up in the horse stable. She told Oh-sung that she had installed a tracking application in Jae-bum's phone. Jae-bum was the one who asked her to do that so that she could find him if he was lost. Oh-sung then asked Jae-bum's mother if he could see Jae-bum's location right now. He said that he was worried about him because he didn't attend school that day. At home, when Chen Mei was changing her clothes, she received a text message from someone. She quickly checked her phone because she thought that the text message was from Soo-hyun, but turned out it was Jae-bum who sent her that text message. Jae-bum asked her to meet him at the nearby coffee shop and Chen Mei agreed. While Chen Mei was leaving that place, Jae-bum saw her from the rooftop and entering Soo-hyun's house right away. Turned out, Jae-bum lied to Chen Mei so that he could check Soo-hyun's house when she was not there. When he was looking around that place, he saw some pictures of Soo-hyun and Chen Mei that they took in a photo booth in Busan another day. While Ah-jung and So-yeon were walking down the street, Jong-guk suddenly approached them. Jong-guk asked So-yeon if she knew where Soo-hyun was. He said that he asked So-yeon about him because So-yeon was the person whom Soo-hyun called a lot according to his call history. But So-yeon said that she didn't know anything about Soo-hyun's whereabouts. When Ah-jung and So-yeon arrived home, So-yeon finally told Ah-jung that Soo-hyun was the person who took revenge on Jung Kyung and Hee Jian. Ah-jung was amazed when she heard that. She thought that what Soo-hyun did was really cool. But Soo-hyun told her that the recent target was found dead after Soo-hyun attacked him. Ah-jung didn't think that Soo-hyun was the one who murdered him. She believed that someone was trying to frame Soo-hyun. After Oh-sum visited Jo-bum's house, he came to Chan-may's house. When he arrived there, he saw his sister Ji-hyun in that place. Ji-hyun said that she came to that place because she was worried about Soo-hyun. She had been trying to call Soo-hyun, but he didn't answer her call. Ji-hyun and Oh-sum then went to the rooftop together. When Ji-hyun was looking around that place, she saw Chan-may's school uniforms there. She was jealous when she realized that Chan-may and Soo-hyun had been living together. Suddenly, Jo-bum came out of Soo-hyun's house. He was surprised when he saw Ji-hyun and Oh-sung in that place. Oh-sung said that he came there to meet him. He explained that he knew about Jo-bum's location because of the tracking application that was installed by Jo-bum's mother. After that, Jo-bum and Oh-sung left that place together. Ji-hyun was still feeling angry because Chan-may and Soo-hyun lived together. She entered Soo-hyun's house and planned something bad to punish Chan-may. While she was walking away from that building, she saw Chan-may's motorcycle being parked there. Suddenly, she had a wicked idea. The next morning, Chan-may was going to school by using her motorcycle. But on her way there, she realized that her motorcycle brakes had broken. She panicked as her movement became uncontrollable. She then crashed into a pile of blankets and fell off her motorcycle. She got injured because of that accident. When Chan-may took her motorcycle to the repair shop, the mechanic there told her that her motorcycle brakes had been sabotaged by someone. Chan-may was surprised when she heard that. When she arrived in school, she made noises in the hallway. She challenged Won-seok's murderer to show up because she believed that it was them who was trying to murder her by sabotaging her motorcycle brakes this morning. When she returned home, she was surprised to see that the house where she and Soo-hyun lived had been trashed. She also found her school uniforms being cut into pieces there. She sat on the floor as she stared at that place sadly. Detective So-jung came to the hospital to visit her husband. Turned out her husband was the doctor who was taking care of Soo-hyun. He was called Dr. In-seon. While Detective So-jung was talking to her husband, Soo-hyun suddenly came to that room. She was surprised when she saw him there. She then asked Soo-hyun to talk to her in private. She apologized to him because she thought that he had been hiding all this time. She didn't know that he had been staying in the hospital due to his illness. Soo-hyun asked her to keep this information from everyone, including his friends. He said that he didn't want to make them worried. While Chan-may was cleaning her house, Soo-hyun suddenly returned home. She couldn't believe that she could finally see him again. Soo-hyun then asked her to go to some place to forget about everything that happened to her when he was gone. Turned out he took her to a karaoke bar where So-yeon and others had been preparing a birthday surprise for her. Chan-may was very happy because of that. She didn't expect that they knew about her birthday. Her sadness and anger because of the incidents that happened to her earlier suddenly disappeared. She felt grateful because there were still many people who loved and cared about her. Not long after that, Oh-sung came to that karaoke bar. Jo-bum's mother sent him there to pick Jo-bum up. When Oh-sung was in that room, he suddenly received a call. Soo-hyun was surprised when he heard his ringtone. He remembered that it was the same ringtone with the ringtone that he heard in Chan-may's recording when Won-seok's number called her another night. After that, Soo-hyun told Chan-may about it. He suspected that Oh-sung was the person who used Won-seok's number to call her. Chan-may was surprised and angry when she heard that. She said that she wanted to take revenge on Oh-sung. But Soo-hyun told her to calm down and find out about the truth before she took any action. At the park, Oh-sung tried to persuade Jae-bum to go home. He realized that Jae-bum had never returned home since he showed him the pictures of him and Won-seok that night. But Jae-bum said that those pictures had nothing to do with him not returning home. He said that he didn't return home because he always experienced delusions every time he was at home. He got frustrated because those delusions made him imagine things that he had never done before. He was so confused and scared and didn't know what to do anymore. Then he burst out crying. Oh-sung tried to calm him down and said that Jae-bum lost his memories because one day he jumped off a building and injured his head. Jae-bum suddenly stopped crying when he heard that. He looked at Oh-sung and asked him how he knew about that. He found it strange that Oh-sung knew a lot about his past and his relationship with Won-seok. He then asked if Oh-sung gave the pictures of him and Won-seok to him to pressure and manipulate him into thinking that he and Won-seok were dating. Oh-sung was angry when Jae-bum accused him like that. He then punched him in the face. At home, Chan-may and Soo-hyun were trying to find a way to find out if Oh-sung was the person who used Won-seok's phone to call her. Then Soo-hyun asked Chan-may about what she wanted for her birthday present. After thinking for a while, Chan-may said that she wanted the red shoelaces that Soo-hyun always wore. Soo-hyun smiled when he heard that. He finally decided to give those red shoelaces to Chan-may, even though those shoelaces were so precious to him since his mother gave them to him. At the police station, Detective So-jung and other police officers had a meeting. In that meeting, they were discussing about Hyuk Jeon's murder case. They were still investigating about what happened to Hyuk Jeon that night. Detective So Jung showed them the evidence that she found in the crime scene, which was a piece of payment receipt. She believed that that payment receipt was accidentally left there by the murderer. For that reason, she planned to investigate the payment receipt and find out where it came from so that she could find the murderer. The next morning, before Chan Mei and Soo Hyun headed to school, Soo Hyun gave Chan Mei the red shoelaces that she asked for her birthday present. Chan Mei was very happy to receive those shoelaces. She laced her shoes with them right away and wore her shoes to school. Soo Hyun told her to give those shoelaces back to him and not to throw them away if she didn't want them anymore. Detective So Jung and Jong Gup began to investigate the piece of payment receipt that they found in the crime scene. They visited every store, mall, and coffee shop near the crime scene to find out where that payment receipt came from, but nobody knew about the payment receipt that showed them. But when Jong Gup visited a coffee shop and asked the owner about it, he finally found out that that payment receipt was from that place. He asked that man if they had CCTV footage when that payment receipt was printed and given to the customer. That man said that maybe they still had it. After that, Jong Gup returned to Detective So Jung. But strangely, he didn't tell her that he had found out about where that payment receipt came from. It seemed that he wanted to hide about that information from her. At school, So Yeon and Ah Jung met with Soo Hyun. So Yeon and Ah Jung said that they believed that Soo Hyun wasn't the person who had murdered Hyuk Jeon. They said that it was important for them to have the same story and information to tell to the police if the police came and interrogated them. Soo Hyun said that Chan Mei also knew about it and had helped him to get rid of the evidence that Detective So Jung was looking for. He also added that he suspected that Oh Sung was the person who murdered Hyuk Jeon. He said that maybe they could find out about it if they investigated his phone. For that reason, he asked So Yeon and Ah Jung to help him to get Oh Sung's phone. In the classroom, So Yeon and Ah Jung began to execute their plan to get Oh Sung's phone. While So Yeon was distracting Oh Sung's attention, Ah Jung walked toward Oh Sung's desk and took his phone secretly. After that, she gave that phone to Soo Hyun, who had been waiting for her in the hallway. Soo Hyun then went to the restroom and checked Oh Sung's phone there. He went through Oh Sung's call history to see if Oh Sung made any call 5 days ago. But turned out Oh Sung had bought that phone. So there wasn't any call that he made nor received 5 days ago. Soo Hyun was mad when he saw that. Meanwhile, Oh Sung was busy looking for his phone. He went to the restroom and called his number. Suddenly, he heard his phone ringing in one of the stalls there. Fortunately, Soo Hyun managed to escape that situation and return to his classroom. But while he was heading there, Oh Sung saw him from afar. After that, Soo Hyun told Chan Mei that he didn't find anything in Oh Sung's phone because it was a new phone. In the evening, Jong Gup came to the police chief's house. Turned out, he didn't tell Detective So Jung that he had found out about where that payment receipt came from was because the person who received that payment receipt was Oh Sung, the son of the police chief. The police chief, Wine-do, was surprised when he heard that. He asked Jong Gup to keep that information from anyone, at least for a while. While Soo Hyun was heading home, a man suddenly approached him and tried to attack him with a wrench. But fortunately, Soo Hyun managed to attack him first and defeat him. He was surprised when he found out that that man was Si Jin. In front of Chan Mi and Soo Hyun, Si Jin admitted that he tried to attack Soo Hyun because he believed that Soo Hyun was the person who had murdered Won Seok. He also admitted that he was the one who trashed Chan Mi and Soo Hyun's house. Chan Mi said that he almost got her killed because of what he did with her motorcycle brakes. Si Jin was confused when he heard that. He said that he only trashed her house and didn't do anything with her motorcycle brakes. Soo Hyun and Chan Mei then wondered about the person who sabotaged Chan Mei's motorcycle and almost put Chan Mei in danger. The next day, Soo Hyun and Chan Mei executed another plan to find out about Oh Sung's involvement in this whole case. Soo Hyun then approached Ji Hyun and asked her to give him a private lesson. As he expected, Ji Hyun was so happy to do that. Soo Hyun came to Ji Hyun's house after school. Meanwhile, Chan Mei asked Jae Bum to go to a coffee shop and meet with Oh Sung there. She wanted Jae Bum to buy time so that Soo Hyun could go to Oh Sung's room and look for anything suspicious there. At the police station, Detective So Jung received a call from someone. She was surprised when that person told her about the customer who received the payment receipt. She then went to the coffee shop and met with the owner. She was disappointed when she knew that Jong Guk had been hiding this information from her because the customer who had that payment receipt was the police chief's son, Oh Sung. At home, Jae-hyun was so happy that Soo Hyun was around. She then shared an Instagram post where she told everyone that Soo Hyun was in her house. Oh Sung saw that post and got surprised to find out that Soo Hyun was in his house. He was worried if Soo Hyun found something there. So he left that coffee shop and rushed to his house right away. In Oh Sung's room, Soo Hyun opened a drawer and found some photos of Won Seok, Jae Bum, and Oh Sung there. Not long after that, Oh Sung finally returned home. He was angry when he saw Soo-hyun there and punched him right in the face. He even tried to hit Soo-hyun with a plant pot, but Detective So-jung suddenly came to that room and stopped him. Detective So-jung said that she came to that place to arrest Oh-sung on suspicion of Hyuk-jeon's murder. Her excuse was that Oh-sung was the one who received the payment receipt that she found in the crime scene. While Ah-jung and So-yeon were heading home, Seon-ha's father suddenly approached them. Seon-ha was the student from the photography club who was bullied and sexually assaulted by Jung-kyung. Seon-ha's father came to see So-yeon to ask her for another help. He said that Jung-kyung had returned and harassed his daughter again. At home, Soo-hyun told Chan-mei about what he found in Oh-sung's house. But before he had the chance to finish his story, he suddenly received a call from the hospital. He was surprised when the hospital told him that his mother was in critical condition and receiving treatment in the intensive care unit now. When he arrived at the hospital, the doctor told him that his mother needed to use ventilators soon, which was very expensive. Soo-hyun had no idea how he could find when he could buy a ventilator for his mother. In the interrogation room, Detective So-jung was interrogating Oh-sung. Oh-sung denied that he was the person who had murdered Hyuk-jeon. He even had a good alibi to defend himself. The police finally let him go because they didn't have enough evidence to arrest him, especially to consider that he was the son of the police chief. After that, Oh-sung came to see Jung-kyung. He told Jung-kyung that the person who attacked him that night was Soo-hyun. Soo-hyun came to So-yeon's house and asked her if there was someone who needed to use his service. At first, So-yeon refused to give him a job because she was worried about him. She knew that the police were suspecting him, so she didn't want him to do another revenge because it could put him in danger. But Soo-hyun said that he really needed money right now to help his mother who was in critical condition. After that, Ah-jung visited Seon-ha's father at his workplace. She told him that she and her team were going to do what he asked them another day, which was taking revenge on Jung-kyung. Then, Ah-jung went to the hospital. She told Soo-hyun that their next target was Jung-kyung. Without thinking, Soo-hyun immediately agreed to take another revenge on Jung-kyung. He would do anything to save his mother. While Ah-jung was leaving the hospital building, Chan-mei arrived in that place. Chan-mei saw her and asked Soo-hyun what Ah-jung was doing there. But Soo-hyun refused to tell her about the truth. When they had a lunch, Chan-mei asked Soo-hyun again about what Ah-jung was doing in that place. She believed that Soo-hyun and Ah-jung were planning about something. But instead of answering her, Soo-hyun was being rude to her. He told her to mind her own business and leave him and Ah-jung alone. Chan-mei was sad when she heard that. She said that she was only worried about him. Soo-hyun felt guilty for being rude to her. Then he showed her the pictures that he found in Oh-sung's room. He had shown those pictures to her earlier. In those pictures, Oh-sung, Ja-bum, Se-jin, and Won-seok seemed very close to each other. Soo-hyun told Chan-mei that he suspected that people who murdered Won-seok were people who were close to him. Those people were Oh-sung, Ja-bum, and Se-jin, just like how it seemed in those pictures. But out of those three people, he suspected Oh-sung the most because Oh-sung always tried to cover up Won-seok's murder and pretended that he didn't know Won-seok. Chan-mei looked at those pictures again and thought that Won-seok did seem close to Oh-sung, Jo-bum, and Se-jin. So it was a little hard for her to believe that those people murdered her brother. But to find out about the truth, she needed to investigate it. In his room, Oh-sung checked his drawer and found out that the pictures that he kept there had been gone. He was angry when he realized that Soo-hyun was the one who stole those pictures. In serious tone, Oh-sung said to himself that Soo-hyun had to pay with his life for stealing those pictures. Before heading to school, Oh-sung came to see Jung-kyung to discuss about what they were going to do to hurt Soo-hyun. Jung-kyung said that he could take care of Soo-hyun alone with the help of his friends. But Oh-sung thought that it was a bad idea because Jung-kyung would end up in jail if he did that. He explained that it was because Jung-kyung was still under house arrest and the police didn't have strong evidence that Soo-hyun was the person who attacked him that night. So he suggested that they created a new plan where they framed Soo-hyun as the person who murdered Hyuk-jeon. As the first step, he needed Jung-kyung to keep harassing and intimidating Seon-ha. He believed that Soo-hyun would come to him and take another revenge on him for hurting Seon-ha. When that happened, they then execute their plan to trap him. At school, Chan-mei began to investigate about what happened between Oh-sung, Jo-bum, Se-jin, and Won-seok. She came to see Jo-bum and asked him about a picture that Soo-hyun found in Oh-sung's room. Jo-bum admitted that he didn't remember anything about what happened in that picture. He told Chan-mei that Oh-sung had also showed him some pictures. But in those pictures, there were only him and Won-seok, unlike the picture that Chan-mei showed him when there were him, Won-seok, Oh-sung, and Se-jin. After Jo-bum saw that picture, he began to wonder why Oh-sung only showed him the pictures of him and Won-seok. In the classroom, Jo-bum asked Oh-sung about it. He said that he found a picture of him, Oh-sung, Se-jin, and Won-seok together, and asked him why he only showed him the pictures of him and Won-seok. But Oh-sung ignored him and asked him to talk about it later because he had something important to do. Turned out something important that he meant was promoting his Instagram account to all Yongtan High School students. It wasn't revealed yet about why he did that. The Yongtan High School students seemed excited when they found out that Oh-sung finally had an Instagram account. They liked the picture of him and Ji-hyun that he uploaded on his account and followed his account right away. Ja-hyun was the only Yongtan High School student who didn't approve what he was doing. She asked her stepbrother to take down the picture of her and him from his Instagram account soon. But Oh-sung asked her to wait for 2 days because he had a plan that had something to do with that picture. Ji-hyun was confused when she heard that. It wasn't revealed yet about what Oh-sung was actually planning that picture. At the restaurant, Detective So-jung and Jong-guk had a lunch together. Jong-guk apologized to Detective So-jung for trying to hide the fact that Oh-sung was the one who received the payment receipt that they found in the crime scene another day. To show her that he really regretted what he did, he had been working hard to find any clue that could help them to solve Hyuk-jiwon's murder case. He told Detective So-jung that he found some CCTV footages in the night when Hyuk-jiwon got murdered. Detective So-jung was surprised when she heard that. She asked Jong-guk to show her that video right away. At the police station, Jong-guk showed a CCTV footage of someone heading out of the car repair shop through the front door around the time when Hyuk-jiwon got murdered. But he assumed that the person who murdered Hyuk-jiwon was different from the person who was caught by that CCTV footage. It was because in another CCTV footage, there was someone heading out of the car repair shop through the back door 10 minutes after Hyuk-jiwon was assumed dead. Detective So-jung was getting more curious about this murder case after she heard Jong-guk's explanation. While Sin-ho was walking down the street, Jung-kyung suddenly stopped her. He began to harass and intimidate her again, just like what Oh-sung told him. At school, Oh-sung suddenly attacked Chan-mei and stole her bag to get the pictures of him and his friends that Soo-hyun took from his room. But fortunately, Jo-bum came to that place and helped Chan-mei right away. But Oh-sung finally managed to get the pictures of him and his friends back. Jo-bum was mad at him for what he was doing. He asked him to apologize to Chan-mei soon. But instead of apologizing to Chan-mei, Oh-sung coldly replied to him to stay away from Chan-mei. In the evening, Oh-sung stalked Seon-ha to see if his plan turned out well. He came to Seon-ha's place and listened to the conversation of Seon-ha and her father secretly. From that conversation, he found out that Jung-kyung managed to get Seon-ha by harassing and intimidating her. It meant that he could execute his plan to trap Soo-hyun soon. After that, Oh-sung came to see Jung-kyung and told him about it. He said that Soo-hyun might come to him to attack him in 1 or 2 days. Because of that, he asked him to prepare himself to trap Soo-hyun. The next day, Soo-hyun was stalking Jung-kyung to find out about where he lived now. Meanwhile, Oh-sung and Jung-kyung's friends were busy setting up Jung-kyung's place. They installed many security cameras there so that they could record Soo-hyun when he came to that place. Turned out, this was why Oh-sung promoted his Instagram account to the Yongtan High School students. He planned to do a live broadcast in the night when Soo-hyun came to that place and attacked Jung-kyung, so that his followers would find out that Soo-hyun was the person who attacked Jung-kyung and Hyuk-jiwon. In the evening, Oh-sung and Jung-kyung's friends were waiting in the van that was parked near Jung-kyung's trailer. They watched that area closely and waited for Soo-hyun to come to that place. Meanwhile, Jung-kyung was sitting alone in front of his trailer. Not long after that, Soo-hyun arrived in that place. But while he was walking toward Jung-kyung's trailer, a car suddenly approached that place. Soo-hyun hid immediately when he saw that car. At home, Chan-mei received a call from the hospital. She was surprised when the hospital told her that Soo-hyun's mother had passed away. She tried to call Soo-hyun right away, but there was no answer from him. She then called So-yeon and Jo-bum and told them about it. So-yeon had no idea that Soo-hyun received another job to take revenge on Jung-kyung. Ah-jung was the only person who knew about it. She felt guilty for giving that job to Soo-hyun when she heard that Soo-hyun's mother had passed away. She felt even more panic when she found out that Oh-sung was doing a live broadcast to catch the person who had attacked Jung-kyung and Hyuk-jiwon. She finally told So-yeon that Soo-hyun was on his mission to take revenge on Jung-kyung that night. So-yeon panicked when she heard that. She called Jo-bum and Chan-mei and told them about the urgent situation that they were facing right now. Not long after that, Jo-bum and Chan-mei came to that place. They wanted to stop Soo-hyun from doing his mission, but they didn't know where Jung-kyung lived right now. So they finally decided to divide the team and go to different ways. Ah-jung and So-yeon went to Seon-ha's house and asked her to give them Jung-kyung's address. Meanwhile, Jo-bum and Chan-mei went to Jung-kyung's school so that they could stop Soo-hyun soon once they knew Jung-kyung's address. In the car, Oh-sung saw someone in mask walking toward Jung-kyung's trailer in CCTV footage. He was glad when he saw it because he thought that he would capture Soo-hyun soon. Not long after that, the man in mask attacked Jung Kyung in his trailer, but Jung Kyung attacked him back. Jung Kyung and that man then got into a fight. Suddenly, Oh-sung came to the trailer and took off that man's mask. He was surprised to see that that man was not Soo-hyun, but Jae-bum. The smile on his face soon disappeared and changed into an angry face when he saw that. Meanwhile, Soo-hyun and Chan-mei were heading to the hospital where Soo-hyun's mother died. Tears running down Soo-hyun's face as he headed to that place. Turned out, right before Soo-hyun went to Jung Kyung's trailer to attack him, Chan-mei and Jae-bum arrived in that place on time and stopped him from doing his mission. Chan-mei and Jae-bum managed to find that address because Soo-hyun had called them and told them about where Jung Kyung lived. Meanwhile, Detective So-jung and other police officers were heading to Jung Kyung's trailer. Oh-sung panicked when he heard the police sirens approaching that place. He and Jung Kyung's friends tried to run away, but Detective So-jung and other police officers managed to stop him. In the trailer, Jae-bum was still talking to Jung Kyung. He didn't care that the police officers had surrounded that place. He also didn't care if he had to deal with the police for pretending to be the person who attacked Jung Kyung and Hye-jeon. Jung Kyung was mad at him for attacking him. But since he wasn't in a good condition to beat him up, he could only verbally harass him. The police then took Oh-sung, Jae-bum, and Jung Kyung to the police station to be interrogated. Meanwhile, Soo-hyun, Chan-mei, So-yeon, and Ah-jung were attending Soo-hyun's mother's funeral. At the police station, Detective So-jung told the police chief, Oh-sung's father, that they suspected his son because of what he did another night. After she left Won-du's room, Jong-guk approached her and informed him that Jae-bum was a son in the wealthy family. He said that Jae-bum's family had sent 2 lawyers from prestigious law firm to the police station to represent Jae-bum. But Jae-bum told those lawyers that he didn't need them to represent or accompany him during the interrogation. He said that he wanted to be interrogated by himself. In the interrogation room while Detective So-jung was interrogating Jae-bum, Jae-bum didn't mention anything about Soo-hyun. He said that he came to Jung Kyung's trailer and pretended to be a person who took revenge on Jung Kyung and Hye-jeon because he wanted to become a hero like that person. But Detective So-jung didn't believe him right away. She thought that there was something strange about his statement. But Jae-bum finally managed to convince her after he said his reason why he pretended to be a revenge hero. In another interrogation room, Jong-guk was interrogating Jung Kyung. He asked him how he knew that the revenge hero would return to his place and attack him again that night. Jung Kyung said that it was because he had used a bait to lure that person into his place. Jong-guk was angry at him when Jung Kyung said that the bait that he was talking about was Seon-ha, the person whom he had sexually assaulted. In serious voice, Jong-guk threatened that he would come to Jung Kyung and attack him himself if he didn't leave that poor girl alone. Later, Detective So-jung and Jong-guk were interrogating Oh-sung. They needed to interrogate him together because they thought that he was the mastermind behind this whole case. Detective So-jung asked Oh-sung about what he was doing in Jung Kyung's place last night. She thought that what he was doing last night, which was doing a live broadcast to capture the revenge hero, would only make him become more suspected and hated by his schoolmates. It was because the Yongtan High School students really respected and admired that revenge hero for punishing bad people like Jung Kyung and Hye-jeon. But Oh-sung said that he didn't care about such thing. Detective So-jung knew that he was lying. She knew that Oh-sung did that so that people would stop suspecting him to be the person who murdered Hye-jeon. She knew that Oh-sung wanted to capture the revenge hero so that the police would suspect and investigate that person for 3 cases that were related to that person, which were Won-suk's murder case, Jung Kyung's attack case, and Hye-jeon's murder case. Oh-sung became awkward after he heard what Detective So-jung said. He said that he was not the person behind those 3 cases, but it was Ji Soo-hyun. Detective So-jung and Jong-guk were confused when they heard that. After that, Detective So-jung and her husband attended Soo-hyun's mother's funeral and expressed their condolence to Soo-hyun. Since Soo-hyun didn't have any relative anymore, Chan-mei, Ah-jung, So-yeon, and Jae-bum helped him to serve people who attended that funeral. They were surprised when they saw Detective So-jung in that place. They asked Chan-mei about the person who came with her. Chan-mei knew that he was the doctor who was taking care of Soo-hyun in the hospital, but she told them that he was a detective too. After that, Soo-hyun and his friends went to the columbarium to pay their last respects to Soo-hyun's mother. After they prayed for his mother, Soo-hyun asked them to visit Won-suk, whose urn was also stored in that place. Ah-jung got emotional when she saw Won-suk's picture and urn there. She was mad because the police hadn't caught his murderer until this day. Chan-mei and Soo-hyun looked at each other when they heard that. They finally decided to tell their friends about what they had been investigating all this time. They said that Oh-sung was the person that they suspected the most to be Won-suk's murderer. As a person who was close to Oh-sung, Jae-bum was surprised to hear that. At school, while Jae-bum was heading to his classroom, Oh-sung suddenly stopped him and asked him to talk to him in private in the auditorium. In that place, during their conversation, Oh-sung didn't address Jae-bum with Hyung or brother anymore. He now started addressing him with his own name. From his body language and facial expression, it appeared that he had also stopped treating him as the person whom he respected. This turned out to be true when Oh-sung told Jae-bum that he didn't consider him as his friend anymore. He felt betrayed by him because Jae-bum came to Jung-kyung's trailer and helped Soo-hyun last night. Jae-bum scoffed when he heard that. He said that he was doing the right thing. Oh-sung was getting more angry when he heard that. He sarcastically asked him if Soo-hyun had been a better friend to him than him. Jae-bum said that he was just tired and sick of him for manipulating him all this time. He didn't understand why he only showed him the pictures of him and Won Seok, while there were many pictures of him and the group together. He thought that Oh-sung wanted to manipulate him into thinking that he and Won Seok were dating. Oh-sung explained that he did that because he wanted him to remember about his relationship with Won Seok. He said that it was the most important thing for Jae-bum to remember to get his memories back. Then he gave a clue to Jae-bum. He asked Jae-bum to come to his company's building that was located near the horse racing venue if he wanted to remember about something. He said that there was something in that place that would make him thank him once he remembered it. Meanwhile, Chan-mei and Soo-hyun were visiting a beach. While they were spending the time there, Chan-mei tried to cheer Soo-hyun up to get rid of his sadness for losing his mother. After that, they had dinner at a restaurant. Chan-mei told Soo-hyun that Won Seok once sent her a picture of clams when he had a lunch with someone. She thought that someone was Ah Jung since Won Seok said that he went out with his lover, but it turned out to be someone else. She then took out the pictures of Won Seok, Oh-sung, Jae-bum, and Se-jin. She suspected that Won Seok's lover was one of the people who were seen with him in those pictures, but she said that it was so hard for her to know about the truth. She couldn't ask Jae-bum or Se-jin about it since Jae-bum lost his memories and Se-jin had left for the United States. The only person left who knew about it was Oh-sung, and she was trying to find a way to make Oh-sung tell her about it. At home, while Jae-bum was taking a shower, he heard some noises from his room. When he checked his room, he was surprised to see that place had been trashed. He wondered who had sneaked into that place and destroyed his room. Then he noticed that there were tapes on his wardrobe. He soon remembered that he was the one who put those tapes on that place. He became sad and sacred because of that. He wondered if he experienced another delusion or someone did sneak into that place and destroy his room. The next day, Chan-mei was waiting for Jae-bum to meet her. Chan-mei asked Jae-bum to ask Oh-sung about something. Jae-bum then asked Oh-sung to meet him in the auditorium. In that place, Jae-bum told Oh-sung that he asked him to meet him there because he wanted to know about everything that he knew about him and Won Seok. After he persuaded him, Oh-sung finally agreed to tell him about what happened to him and Won Seok in the company building near the horse racing venue. Oh-sung told him that the next day, April 22, was a year since the incident in that company building took place. That incident was when Jae-bum jumped off that building and injured his head. Oh-sung said that Jae-bum didn't jump from that building because he wanted to, but because someone pushed him off it. He revealed that the person who pushed him from that building was Won Seok. Chan-mei, who was hiding in that place and listening to their conversation secretly, was surprised when she heard what Oh-sung said. Oh-sung continued to say that he saw what Won Seok was doing that time, but he couldn't report it to the police because he was afraid if Won Seok revealed about his secret. Suddenly, a teacher came to that place and interrupted their conversation by telling them to return to the classroom. While Oh-sung was hanging out in the hallway, he saw Soo-hyun walking toward his classroom. He approached Soo-hyun and began to provoke him by disrespecting him and his mother who had just passed away. Soo-hyun was furious when he heard that. He returned to Oh-sung and tried to punch him in the face. But before he had the chance to do that, he suddenly lost his consciousness and fell to the ground. Ah Jung and So-yeon panicked when they saw that. Meanwhile, Chan-mei couldn't stop thinking about what Oh-sung told Jae-bum in the auditorium. She couldn't believe that her brother had pushed Jae-bum off a building. Suddenly, she noticed that people gathered in front of the school building. She panicked as she saw Soo-hyun being taken to the ambulance. She rushed to the medical team and told them to take Soo-hyun to the hospital where he usually visited because Soo-hyun had brain tumor. Ah Jung and So-yeon were surprised when they heard that. Jae-bum was also thinking about what Oh-sung told him earlier. He seemed so frustrated with the situation that he was facing right now because everything was so confusing, especially with all delusions that he experienced. After Chan-mei visited Soo-hyun at the hospital, she went to the park and cried alone there. She couldn't stop thinking about what Oh-sung told Jae-bum in the auditorium. She felt really guilty if what Oh-sung said about her brother was true. At the hospital, Soo-hyun had a dream where he saw his mother, and his brother living a happy life together. Suddenly, he woke up from his faint. After that, he talked to Dr. Inseon about the person who took him to hospital. Dr. Inseon said that Chan Mei was the one who took him to the hospital, and she already knew about the brain tumor that he had. Soo-hyun was confused when he heard that because he didn't remember that he had told her about his illness before. He then tried to call Chan Mei, but she didn't answer his call. When he checked his phone, he found a video message that Chan Mei sent him. In that video message, Chan Mei said that if Soo-hyun watched that video, it meant that Soo-hyun had woken up from his faint. She then continued to say goodbye to him and thank him for helping her all this time. She said that she had given up to find out about what happened to her brother. From the information that she got, she found out that Won Seok was a bad person who tried to kill Ja Bum. For that reason, she asked Soo-hyun to stop investigating Won Seok's death too and return to his old life. After Soo-hyun watched that video message, he rushed to his house and hoped that he could still find Chan Mei there. But when he arrived there, he found out that Chan Mei had moved from that place. Chan Mei had emptied her room and only left a letter and Soo-hyun's red shoelace to Soo-hyun. That shoelace had been made into a bracelet. In another place, Ja Bum also received a video message from Chan Mei. In that video message, Chan Mei apologized to him for what Won Seok had done to him. At home, Soo-hyun wondered about how Chan Mei knew that Won Seok tried to kill Ja Bum. He suspected that she got that information from Oh-sung. He then headed to Oh-sung's house to ask Oh-sung about it. But when he was walking toward his house, he saw Oh-sung and Jung-kyun talking there. He also noticed that Oh-sung was wearing a shoe with a red shoelace. He suddenly remembered about what Se-jin told him and Chan Mei that night. Se-jin said that not long after Won Seok fell from the window, he saw someone who wore white shoes with red shoelaces walking out of the school building. Not long after that, Jung-kyun and Oh-sung got inside of a taxi and headed to Jung-kyun's trailer. Soo-hyun followed them immediately. In the trailer, while Jung-kyun and Oh-sung were having an argument about Soo-hyun, someone suddenly came to that place and banged on the door. When Jung-kyun opened the door, Soo-hyun grabbed him and slammed him to the ground. He then went inside the trailer and asked Oh-sung about what Chan Mei told him. Oh-sung was afraid when he saw him there. He took a knife and threatened him with it. But Soo-hyun wasn't afraid of him at all. Instead, he kicked him in the chest and managed to defeat him easily. But suddenly, he heard the police car approaching that place. He stopped beating Oh-sung up because of that. In Busan, Chan Mei was sitting alone by the sea. She was still thinking about the fact that her brother Won Seok was a bad person who tried to kill Ja Bum. She then checked her phone and looked at the pictures of her and her brother. While she was looking at those pictures, she suddenly noticed the date when those pictures were taken. She found out that on April 22 last year, Won Seok was with her in Busan and not in the company building that Oh-sung was talking about. She then played the recording of Oh-sung and Ja Bum's conversation in the auditorium. She finally realized that what Oh-sung said to Ja Bum about her brother was a lie. As soon as she found out about the truth, she tried to call Soo-hyun. In Jung-kyun's trailer, Soo-hyun was still busy beating Oh-sung up. He knew that Oh-sung had lied about what Won Seok did to Ja Bum. After he finished beating him up, he came out of the trailer. Jung-kyun ran toward him and tried to attack him, but he managed to attack him first. Soo-hyun even almost lost his control and tried to smash Jung-kyun with a barbell. But Ja Bum suddenly came to that place and stopped him. After that, Soo-hyun and Ja Bum went to the park. While they were hanging out there, Soo-hyun suddenly received a call from Chan Mei. Chan Mei asked him to meet her soon. When Soo-hyun and Ja Bum arrived in the meeting place, Chan Mei showed them a picture of her and Won Seok that was taken in Busan on April 22 last year. With that picture, she proved them that what Oh-sung said about her brother pushing Ja Bum off a building was not true. Ja Bum was angry when he found out about that. He despised Oh-sung for manipulating and lying to him. Soo-hyun and Chan Mei wondered why Oh-sung lied to Ja Bum about that. At home, Oh-sung's father scolded Oh-sung when he saw him having bruises and wounds all over his face. He reminded him that he was the main suspect of Hye-jeon's murder case right now, so he needed to stop causing problems. Meanwhile, Chan Mei and Soo-hyun were walking down the street together. It seemed that they began to develop feelings for each other. They even held hands for the first time. They then stopped at the convenience store and Chan Mei went to that place by herself. Suddenly, Jung-kyun and his gang came to that place and attacked Soo-hyun. Chan Mei was shocked when she saw them kidnapping Soo-hyun. She tried to stop them, but they pushed her to the ground. Before leaving, Jung-kyun threatened her not to report them to the police. Chan Mei then called Ja Bum and told him about what happened. After Ja Bum heard that, he asked Chan Mei to calm down and not to call the police because it might put Soo-hyun in danger. He promised her that he would take care of this problem. Jung-kyun and his gang took Soo-hyun to an abandoned building and held him captive there. Jung-kyun planned to take revenge on Soo-hyun for attacking him by torturing him the way he tortured him back then. But he said that he couldn't do that until Oh-sung arrived in the morning. The next day, when Jae-bum woke up from his sleep, he suddenly remembered the time when he fell from the building, which made him lose his memories. The next scene revealed about what actually happened when that incident took place. Turned out, the person who pushed Jae-bum off the building was not Won Seok, but Oh-sung himself. Jae-bum was angry when he remembered that incident. He became even more disgusted by Oh-sung. Meanwhile, Oh-sung was heading to the abandoned building where Soo-hyun was being held captive. When Oh-sung was about to get inside a taxi, a group of men suddenly approached him. Those men were sent by Jae-bum to find Soo-hyun's location and save him. Before Oh-sung left with that taxi, they put a tracking device inside his bag. As soon as Oh-sung arrived in the abandoned building where Soo-hyun was being held captive, he kicked Soo-hyun in the chest and began to beat him up. He forced Soo-hyun to make a confession that he was the person who murdered Won Seok. He said that he needed Soo-hyun to do that so that the police would stop suspecting him. He began to torture Soo-hyun again and threatened that he would cut off his fingers with a cleaver in front of them if Soo-hyun refused to make a confession that he was Won Seok and Haeuk-jeon's murderer. At the police station, Chen Mei reported to Detective So-jung that someone used Won Seok's phone to call her recently. She asked her helper to find the person who did that. In the abandoned building, when Oh-sung was about to cut off Soo-hyun's fingers, Jae-bum's subordinates suddenly came to that place and attacked Jung Kyung-na's gang. Jae-bum also arrived in that place. He walked straight to Oh-sung and strangled his neck immediately. He asked him why he manipulated and fooled him all this time. When Jae-bum tried to attack Oh-sung again, one of his men stopped him and reminded him that he needed to take Soo-hyun from that place soon because they didn't have much time. After that, Jae-bum signed an agreement letter that his subordinate gave to him. Soo-hyun was confused when he saw him signing that letter under the name of Seok-jo-jun. Jae-bum's subordinate was also confused when he saw that. He asked him if his name was Seok-jo-bum and not Seok-jo-jun. Jae-bum quickly corrected his name after he realized that he made a mistake in writing his own name. When Soo-hyun returned home, he told Chan Min that there was something strange about Oh-sung and Jae-bum. At the police station, Detective So-jung and Jong Guk were investigating Chan Min's report. While they were doing that, they found another clue about the person who murdered Haeuk-jeon. They found out that Haeuk-jeon's murderer was a left-handed person. At school, Soo-hyun told Chan Min that she was going to leave and disappear for a while. She was afraid if she put Soo-hyun in danger if she stayed in that place right now. She said that the police began to suspect her as the person who gave jobs to the revenge hero. At the police station, Oh-sung told something important to his father. He said that the police would find out about the cases that were related to him soon. He then began to tell his father about how this whole incident happened. He said that it began with him liking his own stepsister, Jae-hyun. The police chief was surprised and angry when he heard what he said. He yelled at him and told him to stop liking his own stepsister because it was disgusting and forbidden. Oh-sung coldly replied to him that it was what made Won Seok die. Oh-sung's father was speechless when he heard that. While Jae-hyun was walking down the street, Jae-bum suddenly called her and asked her to hang out with him. Jae-hyun thought that it was a good idea and agreed to go with him. At home, Chan Mai told Soo-hyun about the information that she got from Detective So-jung. She said that the person who murdered Haeuk-jeon was a left-handed person. When Chan Mai and Soo-hyun had a dinner, Chan Mai wondered if a left-handed person was automatically a left-footed person too. She was curious about it because she believed that Won Seok's murderer pushed Won Seok off the building by using their leg. To find out about that, Soo-hyun suggested her to ask Se-jin to give her the footage of Won Seok when he fell from the window. Chan Mai tried to call Se-jin, but his phone number was inactive. She had no idea how to reach out to him since he had left for the United States. Soo-hyun said that they could still send him an email, but they needed to find his email address first. In the evening, Jae-hyun was sick of Jae-bum, who was only driving around all day. She asked him to stop driving and said that she wanted to go home. But Jae-bum threatened that he would tell everyone about her secret if she got out his car. He said that he knew that Jae-hyun and her stepbrother Oh-sung were kissing back then. Jae-hyun was shocked when she heard that. She couldn't do anything but to do what Jae-bum told her. Not long after that, Oh-sung arrived in that place. Turned out, Jae-bum made Jae-hyun stay there so that she could become the witness when Oh-sung made a confession about what he did to him. He wanted Oh-sung to confess that he was the person who had pushed him off the building. He also asked him about the person who pushed Won Seok off the building. He believed that Won Seok suddenly became a bully in 11th grade because Oh-sung pressured him. But Oh-sung denied that accusation right away. Then Jae-bum tried to provoke them by mentioning about Oh-sung's relationship with Jae-hyun. Jae-hyun was angry at Oh-sung where she found out that Oh-sung was the one who told Jae-bum about their relationship. She then slapped Oh-sung's face and left that place. In the boxing stadium, Soo-hyun told Chan Mai that he noticed something strange about Jae-bum that morning. He said that Jae-bum signed an agreement letter with his left hand and signed that letter under the name of Seok-ja-jun. But when he corrected his name and wrote the name of Seok-ja-bum, Soo-hyun noticed that Jae-bum used his right hand. After Chan-mi heard that, she suddenly remembered that Jae-bum once told her that he had a twin brother named Jae-jun, but Jae-jun had passed away a long time ago. After Jae-hyun left that place, Oh-sung looked at Jae-bum straight in his eyes and told him that Jae-bum was the person who made Won-seok die. The next day, Chan-mi finally managed to find Sejin's email address. She asked Sejin to send her the video of Won-seok, and Sejin sent it to her right away. After Chan-mi and Soo-hyun watched that video for several times, they found out that Won-seok's murderer used his left foot to push Won-seok off the school building. So most likely it was not Oh-sung who pushed Won-seok off the school building because he was not a left-footed person. Because of that, there was only one person whom they could suspect right now, and that person was Jae-bum. After that, Soo-hyun asked Jae-bum to have a lunch together. He wanted to get close to him to see if Jae-bum was the person who murdered Won-seok or not. Suddenly, Soo-hyun said that he wanted to go to the restroom and purposely left his phone on the table. While he was away, Jae-bum stole his phone and pretended that he didn't know where his phone was. After that, Soo-hyun told Chan-mi about it and decided to create a plan. They went to a phone store and bought the same phone at the phone that was used by Won-seok. While Soo-hyun was visiting Jae-bum in his house, Chan-mi anonymously sent a picture of Won-seok's fake phone to Jae-bum and said that she knew that Jae-bum had murdered Won-seok. Jae-bum panicked when he read that message. He told Soo-hyun that he needed to leave soon because there was something important for him to do. Turned out, Jae-bum went to the horse stable to find Won-seok's phone that he was hiding in that place. While he was doing that, Soo-hyun suddenly came to that place and asked him to give Won-seok's phone to him. Jae-bum was surprised when he saw him there. Suddenly, a man smashed a shovel against Soo-hyun's head and knocked him unconscious. Turned out, that man was Oh-sung. When Oh-sung tried to take Won-seok's phone from Jae-bum, he noticed that his phone was also there. He was angry when he found out about that and asked Jae-bum why he stole his phone. Apparently, Jae-bum had a split personality disorder. He had two personalities inside him, Jae-bum and Jae-jun, and Jae-jun was the one who had made Won-seok die. But Oh-sung was the one who manipulated and pressured Jae-bum's another personality into murdering Won-seok. After some heated argument, Jae-bum and Oh-sung finally got into a fight in that horse stable. The next day, Soo-hyun woke up from his faint and returned to the boxing stadium. Chan-mi was relieved when she finally saw him again. She had been worrying about him all night because she couldn't call him. The next scene showed Jae-bum's sport car was being parked by a lake. It wasn't revealed yet about why that car was parked in that place. In the classroom, Oh-sung stared at Jae-bum's empty seat. Turned out, Jae-bum didn't attend school that day. At school after the incident that happened to him last night, Soo-hyun told Chan-mi that Jae-bum was most likely the person who had murdered her brother. Chan-mi planned to report Jae-bum to Detective So-jung after she heard that. Soo-hyun and Chan-mi then went to the police station together. In that place, Chan-mi told Detective So-jung about everything that she knew and why she suspected Jae-bum to be the person who murdered her brother. She said that she suspected him because he had Won-seok's phone. Detective So-jung told Chan-mi that she needed to find stronger evidence to support her statement. She thought that the police couldn't process her statement with that evidence, especially to consider the fact that Jae-bum had been reported missing since that morning. Chan-mi was surprised when she heard that. After that, Chan-mi and Soo-hyun went to the park. Chan-mi said that she couldn't believe that Jae-bum was the one who murdered her brother because she had been knowing him as a kind-hearted person all this time. But with Jae-bum running away from this whole problem, she began to hate him for being a coward and wanted to hurt him back. Meanwhile, Detectives So-jung and Jong-guk were investigating about what Chan-mi said about Jae-bum. While they were in the car, they suddenly received information about the person who used Won-seok's phone to call Chan-mi. From the CCTV footage that was sent to them, they found out that Jae-bum and Oh-sung were the ones who did that. They were surprised when they saw that. After that, Detectives So-jung and Jong-guk went to the place where Jae-bum was last seen visiting. Suddenly, Jong-guk realized something about the way Jae-bum looked at the security camera in the CCTV footage that he saw earlier. He then asked Detective So-jung to return to the police station and rewatch the CCTV footage from the night when Hyuk-jeon got murdered. After they compared and watched those CCTV footages, they realized that the way Jae-bum looked at the security camera was similar to how Hyuk-jeon's murderer looked at the security camera. They began to believe that Jae-bum was the person who had murdered Hyuk-jeon. In her room, Chan-mi was packing her things. She prepared her gun and planned to use that gun to take revenge on Jae-bum. After that, she met with Oh-sung in a coffee shop and apologized to him for accusing him of murdering Won-seok. Then she began to ask Oh-sung about the attack that happened to Soo-hyun in the horse stable. She tried to make Oh-sung confess that he attacked Soo-hyun and her strategy worked. Oh-sung felt very proud that he managed to defeat Soo-hyun that time, finally admitted that he was the person who attacked him in the horse stable. After Oh-sung made that confession, Chan-mi asked Detective So-jung to find Jae-bum's location soon if they decided to interrogate Oh-sung. Turned out, Detective So-jung had been listening to Chan-mi and Oh-sung's conversation during their meeting. Oh-sung was angry when he found out about that. He threatened that he would kill Chan-mi in the most painful way for playing him for a fool. At the park, Soo-hyun met with Ji-hyun. He asked her to help him to find Jae-bum's location. He told her to put a tracking device inside Oh-sung's bag because he believed that Oh-sung knew where Jae-bum was. In the interrogation room, Detective So-jung was interrogating Oh-sung. Despite all evidence that she had gathered, Oh-sung still denied that he was the person who murdered Hye-jeon and Won-seok. Detective So-jung showed him the CCTV footage of him and Jae-bum using Won-seok's phone to call Chan-mi, but Oh-sung said that he didn't understand what she was talking about. The next scene revealed that Jae-bum was still alive and well. He was standing alone in the harbor with a sad face. In the classroom, Jae-hyun nodded at Soo-hyun to tell him that she had done what he asked for another day, which was putting the tracking device inside Oh-sung's bag. Soo-hyun understood and nodded back at her. Turned out Soo-hyun had quitted school to stay away from Soo-hyun so that the police wouldn't suspect them as partners who got involved in the attacks that happened to Jung-kyung and Hye-jeon. While she was working at the convenience store that afternoon, Ah-jung and Chan-mi suddenly called her. They informed her that Jae-bum was the person who had murdered Won-seok. Because of that, the police were looking for Jae-bum right now. Later, while Soo-hyun was hanging out at the harbor by herself, she suddenly saw Jae-bum in that place. Meanwhile, Se-jin was seen arriving at the airport. Turned out he decided to return to South Korea because there was something important that he wanted to tell to Chan-mi. When Se-jin and Chan-mi met at the coffee shop, Se-jin began to tell Chan-mi about what really happened to her brother Won-seok. He admitted to Chan-mi that he and Won-seok used to be dating. But one day when they were kissing in the science lab, Oh-sung saw them and took their picture secretly. With that picture, Oh-sung began to use Won-seok and tell them to do everything that he asked him, including bullying other students, something that Won-seok had never done before. If Won-seok refused to do what he asked him, he threatened that he would share that picture with everyone. After Chan-mi heard that story, she was getting angrier at Jae-bum and Oh-sung. She planned to come to Jae-bum's hiding place to do something to him. So-hyun was the one who informed her about Jae-bum's current address. Chan-mi decided to go to Jae-bum's hiding place and take care of this problem by herself. When she met Soo-hyun in the boxing stadium, she didn't tell him anything about her plan. The next day, when Jae-bum returned home, he saw Chan-mi standing on his boat and aiming her gun at him. He was surprised when he saw her there. With angry and bitter voice, Chan-mi asked him why he killed her brother. Jae-bum finally told her about what actually happened that day. That afternoon, Jae-bum's another personality who was under Oh-sung's influence, Jae-jun, took control of Jae-bum's body. While Jae-jun was walking in the hallway, he saw Won-seok talking to Chan-mi on the phone in the science lab. Jae-jun came to that room and suddenly kicked Won-seok in the chest. That was how Won-seok finally fell from the window and died. Jae-bum explained that such thing could happen because he had split personality disorder. He swore that he didn't mean to kill Won-seok. He also admitted that he just remembered that incident a few days ago. Suddenly, Jae-bum felt sick in his stomach and fell to the ground. Chan-mi was confused when she saw that. She approached Jae-bum to check on him, but Jae-bum, who had been taken over by Jae-jun now, suddenly attacked her. Chan-mi tried to attack him back, but Jae-jun managed to defeat her. Then Chan-mi finally woke up from her faint. Her head and lips were wounded after Jae-jun attacked her. Chan-mi was surprised when she saw Jae-jun standing in front of her and aiming his gun at her head. She then began to talk to Jae-bum's personality and begged him to come back. While crying, she tried to make him remember about everything that they had been through together. Not long after that, Detective So-jung arrived in that place and arrested Jae-bum. At school, Soo-hyun received a text message from Chan-mi. In that message, Chan-mi informed him that Jae-bum had turned himself into the police. Soo-hyun felt relieved when he read that. But not long after that, he received a text message from Oh-sung. Oh-sung told him to go to the rooftop soon because he had something to show to him. When Soo-hyun arrived in that place, he saw Oh-sung taking Ji-hyun hostage. Turned out, Oh-sung found out that Jae-hyun had betrayed him by helping Soo-hyun to put a tracking device inside his bag. He then asked Soo-hyun to kneel and apologize to him. Soo-hyun couldn't do anything but to do what he asked him because Oh-sung aimed his gun at Jae-hyun's head. After Soo-hyun kneeled and apologized to him, Oh-sung approached him and began to beat him up. At first, Soo-hyun was struggling to attack him back because he had a gun with him. But after a while, he finally managed to attack Oh-sung back and even push him off the building. The Yongtan High School students were horrified when they saw Oh-sung falling off the building. When they looked up, they found out that Soo-hyun was the one who did it to Oh-sung. Soo-hyun was afraid if Soo-hyun would get in trouble because of that. So she decided to help Soo-hyun by sending a message to all Yongtan High School students. In that message, she revealed that Soo-hyun was the revenge hero whom they had been admiring all this time. The Yongtan High School students were surprised when they found out about that. Because of that, when Detective So-jung came to that school and interrogated the students there about the incident that happened to Oh-sung, those students decided to tell her that it was an accident. From the information that she had gathered, Detective So-jung suspected that Soo-hyun was the one who pushed Oh-sung off the building. But since all students there said that it was an accident, she couldn't do anything but to stop investigating this case. Months and years had finally passed. Chan-mi and her friends were enjoying their last days in Yongtan High School. That afternoon, they were taking some pictures together. While Soo-hyun was walking away from the Yongtan High School building, all students there cheered for him and appreciated him for being a revenge hero. After that, Soo-hyun met his girlfriend Chan-mi. The two of them were holding hands as they were walking away from the Yongtan High School. A place for their love and adventure began.